Arsenal against Lens. But let's focus on this one tonight in the Parc des Princes as the Champions League music gets going. Two great cities bring us a massive match that Newcastle United must not lose. The Eiffel Tower or the Angel of the North? The Arc de Triomphe or Grace Monument? The Tyne or the Seine? Kylian Mbappe or Anthony Gordon coming in off the left? PSG or NUFC? Champions League, Europa League or nothing? You're about to find out. PSG were guillotined in front of the Gallagher 8 weeks ago. Can Newcastle lead them a merry dance in the Parc des Princes tonight, live in the French capital on Talksport? Alongside me for commentary is the former Newcastle manager Alan Pardew and Talksport's chief football commentator Sam Matterface.
What an atmosphere, what a setting. And as the Parisians discard their small pieces of a huge mosaic that come tumbling down the stands, the red, the white and the blue, the small squares of paper are thrown to the front of the stands, the banners that were unfurled, one that's just simply read "From Paris with Style" is folded away. The real action begins. Well, Newcastle upon Tyne voted to remain in Europe in the 2016 Brexit referendum, and they have similar feelings towards tonight's contest. The grand old club that last lifted a European trophy when TVs as well as their shirts were black and white have waited 20 years to get back into the Champions League, but Newcastle United are well aware that they could need help elsewhere, or it's a possibility they would be out of Europe before the end of the night if they lose in this stadium. Coming to Paris is always a daunting experience. Only one team have won here this season. In fact, only 3 teams have beaten PSG this season. But the good news is one of them is Newcastle. And win they must. Realistically, if they want to play Champions League football after Christmas, win here and win in Milan, and there's an opportunity. Things could work in their favour. A draw may keep them alive, but if you want something, sometimes you have to make it happen. Newcastle have been pretty good at that, written off ahead of the weekend. They upset the West London elite, and now they need to eclipse a star-studded PSG to take back control of their Champions League destiny. Here are the two teams, starting with Newcastle United. It's Nick Pope in goal, a back four of Trippier, Lascelles, Cher and Livramento. In midfield, it's Miley, Bruno Guimaraes and Joel Linton. 17-year-old Miley making his first appearance in this competition. Miguel Almiron on the right, Gordon on the left, and Isaac, who scored at the weekend, has 6 in 8, is back to play through the middle. Donnarumma plays in goal, big imposing goalkeeper away to our left. And in those blue shirts, navy blue shirts with red slash, it's Hakimi at the right back position, Skriniar, Danilo and Luca Hernandez. Ugarte will anchor the midfield, which also contains Fabian Ruiz and Kangin Lee. And up front, Mbappe captains the team with Kolo Muani through the centre and Dembele on the right-hand side. It's the black and white stripes of Newcastle attacking the goal away to our left. Our referee is Simon Marciniak. There is VAR tonight. Paris may well be a romantic city, but for Newcastle, this is a date with destiny. Alan Pardew was the last man to take Newcastle into Europe. It's a huge moment, said Eddie Howe. The motivation, the hunger could not be any higher. How important is the first 15 minutes tonight, Alan?
Well, it's massively important because, you know, this crowd and this atmosphere that we have here is certainly going to enhance the home team. Now, looking at Newcastle already, they're looking like they're playing a flat 3 midfield players, and I think that's quite sensible to start this game. They don't want to get too stretched.
Lee immediately sends the ball down the left-hand side, and Paris come forward with Mbappe. Lee goes on the hunt, pulls it back towards Kolo Muani inside the area. They're giving it away, Newcastle, as they attempted to clear. It's picked up by Mbappe. Mbappe down the left, Lee into the centre again, away by Lascelles, who immediately has to divert it, and it goes away from the 6-yard box and out for a throw-in. But it's an immediate, fast, intense start from Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, and Lee and Mbappe down that left-hand side caused havoc there, and Newcastle did exactly what they shouldn't do. They had a panic up on the clearances and handed it straight back. So there have been 3 attacks there in the first 2 minutes.
Hull 2, Rotherham 0 is the latest scoreline from the KCOM. Queen's Park Rangers lead by a goal to 0 against Stoke. Those games in the Championship at this moment in time. The ball deep with Paris Saint-Germain, and it's been a fast start to the game, and Newcastle have got to stick in for the first minutes. We may get a similar game to the one in Milan, where Newcastle had to ride their luck a little bit, pressed up high, didn't create too many chances, but stayed in the game and had a golden chance at the end. But they're just sitting off at this moment in time and holding their line on the halfway line, just a little bit further back than maybe they usually are. Here is Danilo, who's at the heart of the Paris defence, out wide towards the left, on by Luca Hernandez. A couple of steps inside Newcastle territory is Mbappe, comes centrally, taken on by Ugarte, and then across towards Skriniar, and it's 0-0 in the Parc des Princes. And those Newcastle fans a little bit tentative as Dembele threatens to go down the right. He overruns the ball, goes behind. So let's go off to the Championship. Mark Wilson.
Yeah, it's Hull 2, Rotherham 0. Great goal as well. The Kilos cross from the right-hand side. It hit a Rotherham defender and it fell to Jaden Philogene. Back to goal. He's backheeled it through a sea of bodies and into the far corner. 5th in 7 for him. Hull 2, Rotherham 0.
Bad news for Celtic earlier on. They were beaten and they are out as a result of that. Here, Newcastle United want to avoid the same fate. They know that tonight they have to get something, otherwise they could end up effectively in a playoff for a Europa League spot or end up being out. If they lose, they are going out. Let's go off to Borough. Graham Courtner.
Middlesbrough scored. It's the Borough 1, Preston 0. Lovely ball threaded through to Isaiah Jones. Cracking finish by him as well. 12 gone here. Borough 1, Preston 0.
Borough are a funny team, aren't they? They're a team that can beat Leicester but can lose to Bristol City and Stoke. Here's Dembele down the right-hand side, moving towards the edge of the penalty area. Goes one way, then the other. Tries to take on the defender. Produces a cross towards the far post. Leamis kicks his volley and it's half cleared. Dropped inside the box. Mbappe over the top from about 10 yards from goal. And all of a sudden Newcastle looked panicked. They didn't get their clearances right. Cher was outwitted by Dembele. His cross deep to the far post was missed by Lee. And then, for whatever reason, Mbappe fired over the top. Alan Pardew.
Yeah, before this game started, we were tipped off that Dembele was the one that was going to be given licence to take Livramento on. And he twisted him both ways that time, got across to the far post, and it was a great attack again by PSG that started, as you would expect, fast and well.
3 minutes and 45 seconds live on Talksport tonight in Paris. Chilly evening, but a clear evening in the French capital. And Newcastle United have got to keep clear heads here. It's away by Cher, and it goes over the top of Gordon's head as it goes down the left touchline. It's away and out of play, and Skriniar will get things moving again. Newcastle played a high calibre game, highly concentrated game against Chelsea on Saturday, when they could have felt sorry for themselves with so many absentees, and they're making a dart into the box here, and Miley is chasing inside the penalty area, and he's just forced the ball out of play over on the far side. But there was that pressure high up inside Paris territory, and it forced a turnover even if it came to nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's brave by Eddie. He's got the team set up to press. I mean, that's something you wouldn't normally do, PSG away. So, you know, he's being brave in terms of his setup here.
Well, you remember the game that we did in the San Siro, and they did the same thing every time a goal kick. 3 of them on the edge of the 18-yard box, making life uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is a sort of Newcastle general tactic. But tonight, in my view, they should be just a little bit cautious, because this PSG team are so fast on transition.
Off to the Championship again, and an early goal at Watford for Ian Abrahams.
Watford 0, Norwich 1, goal after 2.5 minutes. Danny Bart heading in the Canaries' first corner of the game. Watford 0, Norwich 1.
Hakimi goes darting down the right into the PSG right flank. Across comes Cher and puts it out of play. The throw-in goes to Dembele. Back to Hakimi on this near touchline. Livramento manages to dispossess him, and then Bruno Guimaraes plays it against Achraf Hakimi. The ball bounces behind and it's away for a goal kick away to our right. And I think Newcastle will take their time over this, Alan, just to take the sting out of the game.
Yeah, and Pope did the first goal kick. He took ages and ages. He won't be able to get away with it for all game, but certainly these first 3 or 4, don't expect him to take it too quickly. But Joelinton, Guimaraes and Miley have got a hell of a job tonight, trying to plug those gaps in front of their back four.
Well, Luis Enrique, the PSG manager, was pretty clear that his team would face a battle and that they had to be prepared for it. If you watch Newcastle's game against Chelsea, he said their physicality is so important. Here is Mbappe trying to skate away, and he's stopped by a combination of Miley and Kieran Trippier. And now Gordon's picked up the ball and he's poked it to Miley right side. They're high up inside PSG's half. Isaac takes over, edge of the penalty area, right side. It's now on towards Miguel Almiron, who cuts in left-footed, finds the space for Joel Linton, who drives into a tight, compact area. They've still got it in PSG territory. Trippier, who can create, is being thwarted by Ugarte, but he finds a brilliant ball into Joel Linton. A little back heel around the corner. Miley tries to keep it in, but it just runs out away behind the goal, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Good move, Newcastle.
Yeah, certainly their best moment in the game there. And it started from a half challenge on Mbappe after he tried to skip away from Trippier, but it was a good attack, well thought out, and they're half a chance for him.
Dembele dropping deep, sweeping the ball into midfield, just short of the centre circle. It's collected by Lee. Lee works it to Mbappe. The rapid speed of Mbappe goes up against Trippier, and he stops him in his tracks, Trippier. Beautiful challenge, once again, nicks the ball and turns it over for Newcastle.
Yeah, Mbappe looks like he's got the bit between his teeth, though. That's certainly a bit of a worry. That was the first time Newcastle done a press and PSG played through it, and they got Mbappe one-on-one there, but luckily Trippier just done the moment perfectly.
Yeah, they want to press with 6 players sometimes. Sometimes they do it with 8. Newcastle United, they are capable of maintaining very quick speed. They need to play with the same intensity as they did on Saturday against PSG if they're to get anything tonight. Let's go off to Hull. Mark Wilson.
Another goal for Hull. It's Hull 3, Rotherham 0. Morton played in, unselfishly set up Dilap. His shot powerful was saved. There was Scott Twine to tuck it in the yard out. Hull 3, Rotherham 0.
Giroud has missed a penalty in the 6th minute of the game between Milan and Dortmund. It's 0-0 there, and if Newcastle lose, remember they're out of the Champions League tonight. Should they lose and AC Milan beat Borussia Dortmund in the other group game being played at the same time, then they will exit Europe completely, and there will be no consolation of the Europa League. Mouani, lovely ball down the right. Achraf Hakimi steams up towards the right-hand side of the area, in towards Mbappe. A little back heel saved by Pope brilliantly, and it's steered out towards the far side. Lee recycles it. Header away by Livramento. Newcastle living dangerously. Ball picked up on the left-hand side again. Swung in towards the centre. Headed away by Trippier. And that was a real chance for Kylian Mbappe, whose little flick through his own legs, a Cruyff flick almost, ended up at the feet of Pope, and he managed to kick it clear. Back down the right it goes once more. Fabian Ruiz looking for the run of Achraf Hakimi. Cleared by Gordon. There's a foul on Bruno Guimaraes by Ugarte, and Newcastle once again will take the temperature of the room and try to cool it down.
What a brilliant touch from Mouani on the halfway line. He just set that attack off, and once they got in down that right side, you could see Mbappe bursting past Trippier, and you thought this is 1-0. And he's tried to sort of, I don't know, let it come across him, go through his legs, and then just get a flick on it. And actually, it was a decent save, but a save he should make, Pope. I think Mbappe should have done better there, but a really great sort of moment from Mouani. That will give him confidence.
Is that an effort that actually a real deadly striker, dead-eyed striker like a Lewandowski or a Harry Kane, just steers into the back of the net with no trouble, doesn't try the elaborate flick, just stops the ball, turns and smashes it home?
Well, 228 goals in 276 games suggests he's not bad.
I'm not suggesting he isn't bad, but he is sort of more geared towards the elaborate than the sort of like number 9-ish tap-in finishes. Here is Fabian Ruiz picking the ball up down the right-hand side, charging forward for PSG. It's on to Kolo Mouani, right side, steers it back to Fabian Ruiz, opens up his body, left-footed strike, blocked by Louis Smiley, and it comes out towards the near side. Ugarte keeps PSG on the move. Marco Reus has scored a penalty for Borussia Dortmund away in Milan. It's Borussia Dortmund who lead Milan away in the San Siro tonight by a 0-0. Still a long way to go in the game. That's good news for Newcastle United, because should they lose tonight, they will still have the chance of playing off with Milan for a place in the Europa League. The ball is with Ugarte, and PSG have started at a breakneck speed here and have already had 2 very good opportunities to take the lead. It's taken on down the right for Ashraf Hakimi, whose ball into the near post was missed by Cher. It takes a cannon off Kaolo Mwani, then off Lascelles, and goes behind and away for the first corner of the game. Here's Alan Pardew.
Yeah, Mwani's had 2 or 3 moments in this game already. I mean, it's exceptional little flicks around the corner that have set PSG on their way. I mean, PSG, when I'm looking at them, okay, when they went to Newcastle, this is not the same team. It might be the same names, but it's not the same team. They're right at it tonight. It's going to be a real test.
12 minutes gone, short corner taken to Dembele. Dembele trying to take on Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon deals with that, but plays it almost through his penalty area. Comes back on the edge of the box. There's a strike, which is an accusation of a handball, but the ball has escaped to the far side, and Isaac has then pumped it forward, asking Livramento to chase it. He's very rapid, is Tino Livramento, but he is not that fast and can't get it, although Donnarumma has done his best to try and help him out. And now Livramento has nabbed it in the left channel, plays it into the centre, and Isaac's missed the target from 6 yards out. It's a golden chance for Newcastle United. A giveaway by Donnarumma, snaffled up by Livramento in the left wing position. He travelled back into the penalty area and he steered it back into the near side. It was Almiron actually who centred the ball, and he tried to find Isaac on the edge of the 6 yard box, and somehow he managed to steer it over.
Oh, you can't miss those chances at this level. That is such a big chance, and it wasn't actually a difficult chance.
Well, it's a big mess up by Donnarumma in the first place. Mbappe's going to be penalised here after colliding with Kieran Trippier. He thought he should have had a foul over on the far side, and Mbappe complained about it.
That's an official first l'assault there from Mbappe. He does that from time to time. He didn't think he was at fault.
He didn't think he was at fault, and he made it demonstrably clear he didn't think he was at fault, but the referee disagreed with him, and as a result of that, he has just told him to get on with the game. A free kick has been given to Newcastle United. There has been a goal at the Etihad Stadium. We'll be there in a second, but Isaac's got the ball in the centre circle, and he's worked it out wide towards the far side, and Almiron onto Trippier, steers it back. Bruno Guimaraes, now Almiron, and you just wonder there, when Bruno Guimaraes sets it back for Almiron, whether or not he couldn't have turned and swept it towards goal. Instead, the chance has gone, it's gone out to the far side, and it's away for a throw-in to PSG. But a couple of bright moments for Newcastle.
Better, much better from Newcastle. Starting to get a grip with the game a little bit in terms of who they're up against, and it was nice to see Miley get a nice touch there. He had a little turn on the halfway line, and let me tell you, at 17, that's quite brave to do at this level. He got a nice little turn, set the attack off, and again, a chance for Newcastle. They're showing their teeth, which is good.
Well, it's been a raucous first 14 minutes of the game in the Parc des Princes. What's been happening at the Etihad Stadium? Mickey Gray.
Well, this is not going to plan. Manchester City 0, RB Leipzig 1, and it was assisted by the goalkeeper Yanis Blezic. It's a long ball through to Luis Openda. He just shrugs off at Kanji. A couple of touches later, with his right foot, just slops the ball into the bottom corner. Wow. Game on. Manchester City 0, RB Leipzig 1.
Goal at Vicarage Road, Ian Abrahams.
Watford 0, Norwich 2. Second goal for Norwich. Hwang from 25-30 yards out. Ben Hamer should have done better in the Watford goal. Watford 0, Norwich 2.
Well, Nick Pope spoke yesterday about the scenario that Newcastle were facing here in the intimidating, cacophonous noise of the Parc des Princes, acknowledging that it was going to be a tough game, it was going to be a challenge, but he said he liked the idea. They've spoken as a group about the possibility of achieving something impressive here tonight. The motivation of trying to get Champions League football, they chased it last year, they want to hold on to it, and they certainly, I think, were prepared to come and weather a storm. It has been some storm in the first 15 minutes of the game, but they've started to make their own weather as well. The ball is on the right with Lewis Miley, the 17-year-old, for Newcastle United, combining with Almiron and then nudging it back down this near side. It takes a deflection off Lee and will go off to the Riverside Stadium. Here's Graham Courtney.
Where it's Middlesbrough 2, Preston 0. The ball chested over the line by Rav Vandenberg. Nothing that Freddie Woodman, ex-Newcastle, could do about it. Middlesbrough 2, Preston 0.
Will Eddie Howe, Alan Pardew, be happy with the way that after that first 10 minutes when his team have adjusted?
Well, he definitely will be now. I don't think he would have been after sort of 5-6 minutes of the game when it looked like they were going to concede. But I also think Enrique will be happy. I think PSG look great tonight. They look fine. They're on it. You can see they're doing their discipline's good. Everything about them's good. But Newcastle are matching them at the crucial moments of the game here, because they do need to get some possession, which they're getting. And Miley, by the way, done terrific.
Absolutely. Dortmund leading in the game in the San Siro. And it's still 0-0 here between PSG and Newcastle United. Newcastle, if it stays like this, will need to beat Milan and hope that Dortmund beat PSG. Otherwise, they will be out of the Champions League in the next game if it continues this way. Here's Tino Livramento, lots of speed and guile. He sends the ball out towards the right. Almiron's chasing it, it's not going to get there. Idea was right from Tino Livramento, but it was just a little bit too ambitious.
Yeah. He needed to just put a bit of swaz on that, a bit of outside of the foot. That would have gone nicely, but unfortunately it went the other way.
We are in Paris, there's a little bit of swaz around,
isn't there? Swaz, it's nice to have it when you come to PSG. Style, you see that banner?
Yeah, I did, yeah. I saw you rocking the style as you were walking down the avenues and the boulevards earlier on into those fantastic little boulangeries.
Yeah, very nice.
Yes, you picked up a couple of rather nice bakery items, I noticed. Here is Lewis Miley back to the centre circle, where awaiting the ball is the captain Jamal Lascelles. Into Bruno Guimaraes, and then back to the captain once again, just short of the halfway line. Back out wide right to Kieran Trippier. Flags waving with gusto amongst the Collective Ultras Paris away to our left-hand side in the Tribune Auto.
Do you know what's important on nights like this? Exactly what Trippier did just then. They had a little bit of possession, and instead of Trippier passing, he just stood on it and stopped. And just that little moment of confidence, he's doing it again now. That's exactly what you want from your senior players in the game at this level.
Well, he's an experienced player, and he's so important for Newcastle. I was speaking to the management team last week, in which they were suggesting that his signing was the one that just sort of opened the gate for a few others to come through, to believe that this could be a team that were going in the right direction. Jason Tyndall and Eddie Howe had a good relationship with Kieran Trippier, because they signed him as a young lad at Burnley many years ago, kept in touch with him, went to watch Diego Simeone train in Madrid. He was part of that Madrid team, Kieran Trippier, and when it became apparent that they were going to get the Newcastle job, they were in conversations with him, saying that they would like to reunite with him, and he likes working with them. So there's every reason to believe that is a relationship that will continue to stay strong. He's so important for Newcastle. Joel Linton wins it on halfway and then tries to steer it down the left channel looking for Isak. It's a good intervention by Milan Skriniar, and he clears it for PSG. And the tempo of the game is just slowed slightly, Alan. That will be to Newcastle's benefit.
Yeah, and they've managed to do that. This Newcastle have slowed the game, and now PSG have not got that same ravenous kind of attitude. Although he's done well again, Dembele, he's a real threat down this side. He's toying with Livramento.
He was labelled by his manager this week as the most destabilising player in the world. I think that's because he is incredibly unpredictable, and sometimes I don't think he even knows what he's going to do next. Here on the right side is Achraf Hakimi, picking the ball up for PSG, moving laterally infield now, and about 10 yards short of the edge of the area. The ball's sent to Mbappe. Interception comes from Almiron. That's terrific from Almiron, who's taken the ball off the toes of Mbappe, ran it clear. He's got away from him, and then he's drawn the foul from Mbappe, and that's terrific work from the Paraguayan.
Superb. And that's Almiron all over. He doesn't get many goals. I think he's only got 2 this year. But his work rate, his tenacity, speed, he set up the chance for Isaac a minute ago and almost created a goal for Newcastle. Brilliant there. And just so, for the record, I mark him down. Second, Le Sulk from Mbappe.
Second, Le Sulk. I'm pleased that you're keeping a tally of Le Sulks this evening from Kylian Mbappe. Poor clearance by Skriniar, one by Joel Linton. He wanted to release that quickly into Anthony Gordon, and then the ball out to the right-hand side of Trippier from Isak wasn't quite right, and it escaped and went out of play. But there was just a moment there where there was a chance after a high turnover to try and get in behind the PSG defence, and they didn't take it.
The one player probably who hasn't played great is Isaac. He's missed the chance. That's a loose pass from him. He hasn't really done well with the first pass so far. He needs to do something really good to sort of get his confidence up here, because everybody else is on it for Newcastle. Would have been great.
Just the one chance, that was Isaac's chance from the left-hand side after the ball was won back by Miguel Almiron. He centred it towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and Isaac missed the target, went over the top of the crossbar. It was a super opportunity for Newcastle. For Paris Saint-Germain, one shot on target, 5 attempts so far on Nick Pope's goal, just the one save from Kylian Mbappe at this moment in time. They've dominated possession of the ball, PSG, but after an incredible start to the game, Newcastle have just managed to just slow their momentum, and it remains goalless on Talksport. 22 minutes gone. Sam Mazzaface, Alan Pardew in the Parc des Princes in Paris tonight. Here is the ball played out towards the left-hand side, and there's quite a seismic challenge on Luca Hernandez from Joel Linton, and I think that's going to be the first yellow card of the game.
Yeah, it's just on that transition Newcastle will be careful. They broke the press again, PSG. Guimaraes has had to foul him really, because he's at full pace to the back four. Dembele on the right, Moani through the middle, and Mbappe up on there on the left side. So it was in a way an important foul. So set play now, I don't know, 35 yards out on that left-hand side.
It was Joel Linton who committed the foul.
Joel Linton, yeah.
And even though the television monitors actually put the little strap up saying that Jamal Lascelles had been booked, he hasn't. It is the number 7. Here is Dembele inside the area from the free kick, swiping a volley towards goal. He was offside anyway, and it's going to be a free kick for Newcastle away to our right-hand side. I'm not sure that he was offside.
Right. And actually, Pope has made, he made one save, I think, with his feet, but actually hasn't had much to do. So let's may that continue.
Goal kick away to our right-hand side, and it remains 0-0. Nick Pope, who has had quite some career, hasn't he? He was playing in goal for Harrow, for Welling, for Bury, for York City. Now he's playing in the Parc des Princes for Newcastle in the Champions League.
Yeah, amazing, and a great journey actually. Makes him probably make him humble and know exactly where he's at, and has to work very, very hard to stay where he is. That's what the game's about.
Here is Ugarte for PSG, 23 gone. Back to the heart of defence, and Danilo takes a couple of steps forward before releasing the ball to Skriniar. Eddie Howe is going absolutely ballistic in the technical area, but they've won it back here. Bruno Guimaraes has escaped away from Ugarte and got the better of Lee. Good football by him. He did a brilliant turn to release himself from a knot of blue shirts. He's got hold of it again on the edge of the centre circle, and he's fed Trippier. And now there's a bit of space for Almiron to run into. On the right-hand side, he careers into the PSG half of the field. He faces up Luca Hernandez, spreads the ball further wide. Miley with a cross deep towards the far post, brought down by Gordon. His initial touch wasn't great, and then he runs out of the penalty area, and they look to come again with Tino Livramento, who runs diagonally towards the edge of the area. He gets away from 2 challenges, a third, a fourth, a fifth. He's running laterally towards the edge of the 18-yard box. He comes to Almiron, whose shot is spilled, and it's stabbed home on the rebound by Alexander Isak. It's a terrific, magic moment in Paris. PSG are rocked. The Toon Army are tingling, because there's something special happening in the Parc des Princes, and it came from the boots of Tino Livramento, who slalomed his way across the penalty area. He took on 5 or 6 dark blue jerseys, fed the ball to the wide right-hand side. Almiron's shot was spilled by Donnarumma, and Isak was there to gobble up the rebound, and it's PSG 0, Newcastle United 1.
Unbelievable, and Livramento almost had a penalty in that moment. As he was dribbling through, they took a swipe in. He didn't go down, which was justice to them in the end, because he's made the pass. Great shot by Almiron, and there is at the keeper. What is he doing? He's just pushed it right to Isak, who's just, all he's got to do is fire it home. What a start this is for Newcastle, and they've deserved it. This last 10 minutes, they've been excellent. 1-0, can you believe it?
Well, those Newcastle fans over on the right-hand side in the corner of the Tribune Boulogne are on their feet. Their voices are raised, and the roof is coming off that corner of this stadium. They can't quite believe what they've seen. Their team for many decades in the doldrums, have just gone in front in the Champions League against Paris Saint-Germain, and Alexander Isak has scored once again. What a terrific recent record he's got, Alan. It's his 7th goal in 9 games.
Amazing, and he hadn't really started that well. You know, as I said, he's had a couple of moments where you think, we should do better, but he couldn't miss that. It literally was gift wrapped.
Ball on the right side with PSG coming forward, flash through the 18-yard box by Dembele. It's picked up by Almiron over on the far side, and Lee then takes a little bit of umbrage to Almiron's reaction, and Almiron's not happy about it, and the two have to be separated by the Polish official Szymon Marciniak, and actually Almiron is being kept away by Trippier over on the far side, and Newcastle will have the ball once again. 27 minutes gone. Newcastle lead by a goal to nil away in Paris. This is a stunning scoreline.
It is, and you know, you couldn't have hoped for anything more than a goalie error. You know, it's not a great shot really by Almiron. He should do so much better. It's a simple mistake, punished. And now PSG got it all to do. The stadium has come alive again. It's crucial now for Newcastle, these next moments, that their process is correct and that they keep them at bay.
Off to the Riverside, Graham Courtney.
Middlesbrough 3, Preston North End 0. Isaiah Jones with his second of the evening, dinking the ball over the Preston keeper. Really cool finish. Middlesbrough 3, Preston 0.
What a game we got on our hands in the Parc des Princes as Dembele sends the ball swinging through the 18-yard box. It comes out towards Ugarte, who volleys the ball over the top from miles out. It goes out for a goal kick, and Newcastle will take that all day long. Paris Saint-Germain have only lost 7 of their last 71 European home games.
Yeah, and you know, the result at St James's Park, you know, where they proper thumped them, you know, might be playing a part here. They're looking edgy to me now this last period. I just see Enrique, the manager, jumping up and down about that shot. He was really unhappy, and quite rightly so. It was so speculative.
The ball's been played forward by PSG, but Kieran Trippier has snuffed out the danger of Mbappe, got it back to Nick Pope. It's run loose in midfield, and then it's collected by Trippier, and then he's manhandled by Randall Kolo Muani. It's going to be a free kick, and he'll take his time over this. So the group at this moment in time looks like this because of the Borussia Dortmund result elsewhere. They're beating Milan in the San Siro. At this moment in time, Borussia Dortmund will be top of the shop with 10 points. Then second place, it would be Newcastle United on 7 points, Paris Saint-Germain with 6 points, and Milan bottom with 5. The next game is at St James's Park against Milan. Newcastle would still need to win that just in case Paris beat Dortmund in the final game.
Let's go home now.
We'll take it as it is. Dembele trying to chase down a mistake. It's picked up by Livramento and sent square. Trippier sends it long. Isak didn't hold on to it and just sort of flicked it, and it went through to Skriniar. Is that frustrating for a manager when you get an out ball like that and you don't keep hold of it?
Yeah, he must do better than that in this atmosphere and this scoreline particularly. You got the lead, you now want to just steal the ball a little bit.
And they've given it away, and there's a bit of space for Hakimi to steer the ball into the centre. It's fallen loose inside the box. Lee is arriving, blocked by Miley, brilliant. And then Almiron looks to get down the right hand side. There's a foul by Luca Hernandez, but there was too much space inside the box. It wasn't a great ball in for Hakimi, and as it came through the box, actually I think it might be Dembele, just got a little touch on it, which was unnecessary because Mbappe was lurking on the edge of the 18-yard box, and if he had just left it for him, Newcastle were in real trouble.
Yeah, they're just not picking the right pass in that last moment. Those little passes in and around the box, they're getting into good areas, PSG, and at the moment, thankfully, they've not made one of them count, but don't think that's going to last. You know, we can't have too many moments like that.
Well, it's Newcastle United who lead in the Parc des Princes by a goal to nil, a goal scored by Alexander Isak. And Eddie Howe has just dragged over Alexander Isak towards the near touchline, and he's just given him a few instructions, hasn't he, there? And I think he's probably encouraging him, or you tell me what he's saying.
Yeah, he basically, he's had to pull him over and say, you've got to seal it, son. Quite simple as that, I should think. Might be other words used.
Ball sent down the right touchline for PSG, who trail here to a goal from Alex Isak. A momentous night in the Parc des Princes awaits Newcastle should they manage to see a victory out here, but there's a long way to go. Over an hour still to play here, and no one of a Toon variety will be counting their chickens. Lee into the centre, flicked high into the air by Lascelles, nodded back to his goalkeeper by Livramento. I mean, when you think about Livramento, he hasn't played any football for nearly 18 months because of an ACL injury, and then he's come back into the team and almost had to play every week, and playing on the left-hand side rather than the right. And he's still a very young player, and he's playing at the highest possible level.
He's been brilliant so far. I mean, on the one-on-ones and Dembele, he's going to have a real problem, and Dembele's caused him a couple of issues, but with the ball he's been terrific.
And of course he was the reason that the goal came about, with that unbelievable run, which now he's got to get back and help out, because Dembele is slaloming through. He's trying to shoot towards the far corner. Good save down low by Pope, who gets across towards the far post and fingertips the ball well wide of goal, and it goes out over on the far side. Collected once again over on that far touchline by Luca Hernandez. That was the first real opportunity that Nick Pope has had to stretch himself to save since that Mbappe effort in the first 5 minutes, Alan Pardew.
Yeah, he didn't really get enough power on it, but Nick Pope still had to reach down high, low to his right-hand side, get a good hand on that, just to make sure. But another great chance, and another time the ball's been given away in that midfield. They've got to secure the ball, particularly in that last third.
Paris Saint-Germain 0, Newcastle 1. If it stays like this and the result in Milan stays as it is at this moment in time, Newcastle will be second in the group at the end of the night. Still a very long way to go. We've played just 32 minutes. There has been a goal at the Etihad for Mickey Gray.
32 minutes on the clock. Manchester City 0, RB Leipzig 2, and it's Lewis Openda yet again. He wins the ball down the left-hand side. He uses his pace to get into the 18-yard box, chops the ball onto his right foot, has a little look, plays it low into the bottom corner, past Ortega. They've been rattled, Manchester City. Manchester City 0, RB Leipzig 2.
Well, that's not a result that many predicted. That's a coupon buster if ever there was one, and this might be one too, because Newcastle lead in the Parc des Princes. In the left fullback position, Livramento trying to deal with Dembele, well held by Isaac, and then kept hold of by Bruno Guimaraes, and they played their way out brilliantly there, Newcastle, out to the far side. It's collected by Miley, then back to Kieran Trippier, and Alan Pardew is clapping alongside me because of the way that they've performed. That's a really good turn and pass by Miley, but the two on this near side of the left weren't up to speed.
No, watching him, and I don't think they expected him to do it. I didn't expect him to do it. You know, he's 17, but he's been brilliant this first, 20 minutes? 33 we're at. Wow, it's flown by, hasn't it? I mean, PSG looking a little bit like, what are we going to do next? You know, it's they're looking for a few questions to be answered here, and Newcastle at the moment have got all the answers.
2 goals at Watford. We'll get to Ian Abrahams in just a second, but there is a spell of possession for PSG to monitor as the ball is switched from the centre out to the right, looking for Dembele, who can't control it. So let's go off to the Championship at Vicarage Road and Ian Abrahams.
Watford 2, Norwich 2 in 2 minutes for the Hornets. First of all, Ismail Kone from 25 yards out of nothing, and then Jamal Lewis's cross headed in for a close range by Milica Rajovic to make it Watford 2, Norwich 2.
Just had a replay of that Dembele effort, which went narrowly, was pushed narrowly wide by Pope. I think it probably was going to hit the post actually, rather than sneak in the far corner. But he certainly just made the goalkeeper interested. I must admit, we have played 35 minutes now, and Lewis Miley has been pretty impressive from start to finish. But they've got a little bit of work to do here as Mbappe finds Ruiz inside the area. His shot the first time is blocked by Cher, and then it's cleared away by Newcastle out towards this near touchline. Anthony Gordon looks to try and run down the left at Hakimi, but instead he's robbed by Hakimi, and the ball ricochets into the path of Dembele. He turns and bounds forward towards the edge of the penalty area, and Newcastle just got to stay concentrated here.
Yeah, and Mbappe just does great things, doesn't he? Like, you know, that moment there, he's picked an unbelievably great pass out. He's just such a wonderful player, really. He made a great run as well to get in possession. Left Trippier on the floor. he's still the main threat of this team.
And what he's doing now is just occupying the space in between Lascelles and Trippier, just to make sure that he's more difficult to handle. Here is Ruiz sending the ball into the box, trying to aim it towards the penalty spot. Moani can't get on the end of it, and the ball drops, and it's picked up by Almiron, who does brilliantly again, and Ugarte goes slamming into him, and that's a yellow card for Ugarte, the 22-year-old Uruguayan who was signed in June from Sporting. First yellow card of the game for PSG.
Almiron gets so many people booked because they don't expect him to be as quick as he is. He's so quick, and his feet are quicker too. So they think they're going to win possession, and he just toes it away from them. He's been brilliant down that right-hand side, and he offers such security for Trippier. I mean, Trippier must go to bed and think, oh, he's brilliant, this boy in front of me. You know, he must buy him fish and chips every night.
Well, the fact that he runs that fast suggests he doesn't eat them if he does.
No, probably not, no. Small
portion.
Small cod.
37 minutes on the clock. It's Paris Saint-Germain 0, Newcastle United 1. Things going very well so far for the team in black and white stripes that are attacking the goal away to our left. Almiron just looking as if he's a little bit hurt over on that far side after that challenge from Ugarte. They don't want to lose him at this stage. Gordon pitches it on halfway, but just couldn't get it under control, and Skriniar's returned possession for PSG. Dembele bamboozling himself again on this near side, has taken the ball out of play, and it's away for a throw into Newcastle, so we'll go to half-time at Hull. Mark Wilson.
Yeah, Hull 3, Rotherham 0. Tyler Morton rolled a ball into an empty net inside 5 minutes. Jaden Philogene got his 5th in his last 7 games with a cheeky back heel on 9, and then Scott Twine's first for the club means at the break. Hull 3, Rotherham 0.
And half-time for Graham Courtney at Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough 3, Preston North End 0. 2 goals for Isaiah Jones, 1 for Rav Vandenberg, the Borough right back. The Borough looking really, really good. Preston haven't had a shot on target. Middlesbrough 3, Preston 0.
Milan 1, Borussia Dortmund 1 in the Champions League. This group, and Newcastle are leading at this moment in time. The ball goes out towards the far side, and it's been brilliantly constructed, this move by Newcastle. Eventually, before it comes to Trippier, it's swept away by Luca Hernandez, and it goes out of play on the far side. Cardiff 0, West Brom 0 is live on Talksport 2. That's half-time. Coventry 0, Plymouth 0. That's half-time as well. QPR 1-1 with Stoke. That's also half-time in the Championship. Ball over on the far side. Another good combination involving Miley, and then it'll run loose inside the PSG half, and Livramento will pick it up here. He's run past another 2 players, tried to put it through the legs of Lee, and then won it back again. Terrific. On to Bruno Guimaraes, steering it to the left. That was impressive.
Yeah, he's having a sort of Johan Cruyff moments, isn't he, at the moment? He's forgetting who he is. But he's been brilliant, Livramento, absolutely brilliant. And so has Miley. I mean, I'm so impressed with that boy. I've not seen him, obviously, and he's been absolutely outstanding so far.
Yeah, and he's putting the press on for Newcastle at this moment in time, and they've won the ball again over on the far side. What were you doing at 17 years and 211 days?
Running around some non-league pitch somewhere, Whiteleaf or somewhere, Shinstead.
Yeah, he's playing in the Champions League and playing a starring role, really, for 17 years of age. I mean, this is some performance up until this point. We've only played 39 minutes, though. You are listening to Talksport live in France tonight. Livramento couldn't get on the end of that. There is a bit of a gap here for Dembele, but it's been covered by Cher, who comes sliding out into the left full-back position, and it goes out of play and away for a throw.
I mean, Livramento's having so much joy. He's just leaving Dembele now and going into midfield and all sorts.
Is that dangerous?
Yes, it is a little bit. If I was Eddie, I'd be saying, yeah, you're doing fantastic, but, you know, calm down, stay in your little hole there. I mean, Dembele's a handful, you know, a real handful at world level. But at the moment, Livramento is the best player on the pitch.
Fabian Ruiz engaged immediately by Bruno Guimaraes, and he almost had a bit of a problem there because it looked like he was going to pinch it and feed Isaac. Didn't quite come off for Newcastle, but their press has been superb, and the little triggers, you see it, they sit back sometimes and wait, and then there's a certain moment where they all just go straight away. It's very well choreographed.
It is, you know, in training that. Oh, there's a chance.
Here's Kolo Muani down the left hand side. He's offside.
No, good. No, you work on that in training. Little triggers. If they come inside, bang, we're going to press. Or if the left back starts driving inside, we step up. All those little triggers are things that you work on and Newcastle are doing them great. The three midfield players, I can't speak highly enough of them. They've been brilliant. Isaac just linked a couple of things, and Newcastle's so much better. If he just concentrates, I would be looking at him at half-time just saying, look, just get your game now down and we're all right here.
Former Newcastle manager Alan Pardew in the commentary box in the Parc des Princes tonight. He was the man who last took them into Europe 10 years ago, and they went out to Benfica in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Ball half cleared by Hakimi. It hits Gordon down in the right fullback position for PSG, and it goes out for a goal kick to the home side, who are on a fantastic winning run in the league. They've won their last 6 games. It was given away by Danilo, and again that high press has worked for Newcastle. They've won it on the edge of the area, and Isak's tried to find Gordon, and Gordon is beaten to it by Skriniar, who comes across on the cover and puts the ball out for a throwing down by the corner flag on the right hand side.
Yeah, Trippier read the centre half's pass and just run in front of Mape, picked it up, and they had a decent attack there, and Gordon made a great run across the striker down into the other channel, into the right hand side of Newcastle, and almost got in. It was another good situation.
Bruno Guimaraes, and then Trippier's got a little bit into a tangle with Lee, who's stolen away with the ball, and he's gone sprinting forward up to halfway and through the centre circle. Fed Dembele wide right. On the far side is Mbappe. Pope's coming here, and he's going to claim. Good goalkeeping. He saw it, watched it and claimed it.
Yeah, Dembele just didn't get enough power in that drive across the pitch. Mbappe was free, and that's the last person you want to go to, and Nick Pope read it, come out, called it, safe.
Mbappe, who had the first big chance of the game inside the first 5 minutes with a little back-heeled flick between his own legs when the ball was centred by Hakimi, but it was saved by Pope. Didn't have the requisite ruthlessness to put that chance away at that moment, but there still might be danger from him throughout the night. He has just been shackled, I would say, by Trippier for most of the first half, although I say it tentatively and not wanting to tempt fate.
Yeah, absolutely, because he's always alive and he's always looking for that channel between Lascelles and Trippier.
Here is Dembele down the right hand side again, trying to centre the ball to Randall Kolo Muani, who actually wins the ball back inadvertently, and there's a couple of Newcastle bodies strewn on the floor. The referee's allowed play on. Gordon gets back to his feet. Dembele takes on Livramento, gets to the byline, produces a cross in towards the near post, goes right through the boxes behind Lee, and then comes back out to Luca Hernandez on that left hand side. He combines with Lee, then it's a cross into the path of Fabian Ruiz, square to Ugarte, 30 yards from goal. His strike takes a deflection. It's a corner to PSG with 2 minutes to go before half time. 1-0 Newcastle.
Crucial moments as a manager, crucial these are. These next 5 minutes, got set play to defend, got to be right, everybody back, do your jobs, make sure you can see this out, because that was a good passage of play by PSG. They worked down the right hand side and then worked down the left.
Lee, Dembele, back towards the edge of the penalty area. It comes to Hakimi. It's swung in towards the far post. Lascelles takes charge and heads it clear. Comes out as far as Ruiz, who shoots straight down the throat of Pope. He collects it. It's a shot on target, but not one that really worried the former England man.
Yeah, that was not really a problem for Newcastle. They defended that well. They still needed a great header from Lascelles. He's brilliant at that. Those crosses that come into the box, he seems to read them really well and get himself in good positions. And I say, good clearance. It snuffed that danger out.
Nick Pope was holding onto the ball for a long time there, and the PSG supporters were trying to alert the officials to it. Kolo Muani has just got into the back of Joe Linton, who's drawn the foul. Won the free kick just short of the centre circle. He's got a job on his hands to stay on the field as well, Joe Linton. He's got to be very sensible. He was sent off recently in a game whilst playing for Brazil against Argentina. He can't afford to get a second yellow card. There isn't really that much on the bench to switch him out for either, so they have to be very careful with him over the course of the next hour or so. Here is Gordon in behind Hakimi, slipped in by Livramento. Livramento's got it back, left angle of the penalty area, looks up, waits, and then plays it infield to Bruno Guimaraes. He's about 30 yards from goal. He floats it far side. Almiron coming underneath it. It's juggled with by Luca Hernandez, who takes it out of play, and it's away for a corner over on the far side. And just trying to see how many minutes of added time that we had at the end of the first half. And it's 3 minutes of added time at the end of the first half for Newcastle and PSG.
Now this is a great time to score. You've got a nice big set play. Take your time. See half time almost out. Just get enough time to put it in there, and Lascelles go and smash it in. That's the game plan.
Yeah, well, let's hope that from a Newcastle perspective, that's what happens. It's aimed towards Lascelles at the far post, but unfortunately the only thing he smashed is Fabian Ruiz. So it's a free kick.
Well, he did part of it. Part of the plan.
Part of the plan. Well, it's gone so far to plan for Eddie Howe, Jason Tindall and Newcastle United. Mbappe steaming forward though on the right hand side, trying to disrupt those plans. Dembele gives the ball away cheaply. It's then tossed over the top by Trippier, and Isak is running against Skriniar. He's got the better of him initially, and then Skriniar somehow, I don't know how, managed to fall over and drag the ball back.
Well, I thought that was handball.
Did it hit his arm? Well, there will be a VAR check for that. Would be denying of a goal-scoring opportunity. We'll see in just a second as they come into the box. Mbappe's got it now at the other end. PSG on the attack, trying to float it forward. It hits Miley and goes out towards the far side. He turns the ball back in field now. Mbappe then leaves it towards the edge of the area, and Luca Hernandez, who squares it. It's onto Fabian Ruiz. They're on the attack here. No indication of a VAR check of any sort at this moment in time. The ball played out towards the right. PSG trying to finish the half strongly, come forward with Ruiz, but it's stopped by Almiron and then taken forward by Bruno Guimaraes, but they can't get out at this moment in time, Newcastle, and they've got to clear their lines. Back it comes once again down the left with Lee. We're in the third of 3 added minutes at the end of the first 45. Back it goes to the left, and it's collected by Luca Hernandez of Paris Saint-Germain, who are trying to probe right at the end of this fiercely fought first 45 minutes. It's Mbappe to Lee, and then back to Mbappe in behind, steers it towards Dembele. It hits the defender and is somehow cleared by Newcastle.
Wow. I mean, you think it's a goal. Mbappe's picked Dembele out. Dembele's just smashed it straight at the defender. And fortunately for Newcastle, it's got cleared.
Unbelievable. Here is Newcastle flexing back into a defensive shape once again, trying to repel Dembele once again. The last knockings of the first half, which has been electrifying in Paris. The ball sent square, collected by Ugarte, out to the right, and now Dembele again. He slips it down the right channel. Hakimi wanders into a more central position. He plays it out wide. Fabian Ruiz, then to Dembele, one way, then the other, then shoots down the middle of the goal. Too much loft on it, over the bar, and surely that's the end of the first 45 minutes. Well, it is. And Eddie Howe, who said it was the fear of failure that drove him to achieve, well, this moment in time, he's 45 minutes away from one of his greatest achievements in management. Newcastle United leading the Champions League away at Paris Saint-Germain thanks to a goal from Alexander Isak. Having a look at the replay, it did look as if Skriniar handled the ball in the last few moments of that first half as Isak looked to be going clear. The referee did not see it, the VAR did not call it back, and at the moment it remains Newcastle 1, PSG 0.
Well, right at the end of the first half, Alexander Isak was around the referee talking to him about that incident. There were some afters between Skriniar and Isak as well. They were pushing each other as the ball went up the other end, and PSG tried to fashion a chance for an equaliser. Isak not happy with that. He felt there was an impediment. He felt there was a handball. He felt that that could have been a red card for Skriniar. As it is, he stays on the pitch. But wow, what a first half. What an atmosphere, first of all. What a build-up. You kind of feared for Newcastle a little bit with their fans tucked away in the corner and with all the injuries that they've got. And here they are, leading 1-0. And as it stands, with Milan 1, Dortmund 1 in the other game at half-time, Group F looks like this as it stands. Dortmund top on 8, Newcastle on 7, Paris on 6, Milan on 6. what a finale we'll have on match day 6. Newcastle at home to Milan, and Paris will take on Dortmund. But Alan Pardew, former Newcastle manager, sensational first half from Newcastle. One of two of their players have been absolute superstars. They've had to withstand some pressure, of course they have, in the Parc des Princes, but they've been absolutely superb in that first 45.
Yeah, to a man, they've stood to the challenge, and the challenge was set by PSG right at the start of their game. They come out of the blocks, they were fast to the ball, fast in the pass, really got at Newcastle, and you thought, oh dear, this is going to be a long night. And then suddenly they just had a few moments of possession where they done really well, particularly Gomes and Joe Linton. They done superb just to keep it. Then Trippier started standing on the ball, and you're thinking, okay, they've taken the sting out of this game nicely, which they had. But that didn't mean they were going to score a goal. They didn't look like they were a serious threat, if I'm honest. And then a couple of attacks, and you thought, oh, here we go, maybe. And then a great moment from Livramento. He's sort of danced through, got round the edge, looks like he's going to go down for a penalty. Is brave, stays on his feet, plays it to Almiron. Almiron has a shot. And fortunately for Newcastle, keeper's made a terrible error at this level. He's put it straight in front of Isaac, smashed it home. And from that moment on, to me, and the crowd here, I think PSG are a little frustrated. They've had some moments. They do look like they've got a goal in them, but you can sense a little bit of frustration and a little bit of, I don't know, maybe from the first game when they got beat 4-1. Is this our bogey team? Are they going to do it again? There's that kind of feeling here.
Yeah, Donnarumma, he tried to play. He's no good with his feet, by the way. I think that's universally accepted. And he tried to play out at the back on the weekend, and he gave away a goal to Monaco. It was ludicrously poor from the Italian number one. With his hands this time, it's a simple save to make, and he just completely fumbles it, flaps at it, can't collect it, can't parry it into a safe area, and Isaac smashes it home. But what I liked about the goal was Livramento and his endeavour. The fact that Almiron wanted to have a shot at goal, wanted to test the keeper, and that's what I like about Newcastle United under Eddie Howe, this side that they've got. Yeah, sure, as a defensive rearguard in Milan, they got a 0-0 draw. They were completely overrun in Dortmund and were well beaten 2-0. They've given up a lot of shots in both those games, over 40 shots in this game. Yeah, they're giving up shots, but they're giving it a go as well. They have spirit, they have adventure, they've got quality as well, Alan.
Yeah, and both Trippier and Livramento have joined in, and you don't expect your two fullbacks to join in too much on a night like this when you're up against Mbappe and you got Dembele on the other side. But they've been encouraged to come forward, and they've joined in and given the extra player. When you've got that option, you're going to create something. But hats off at the moment to this midfield, right? Joe Linton, Gomes, and the young lad Miley. Absolutely, they have been outstanding. And Almiron, who I just see walk off limping, I mean, that's going to be a real... That if I was Eddie, that would be my big worry. I'd be going in that treatment room and making sure, you're all right, son, come on, he was been brilliant, Almiron. And that little foursome there probably has been the highlight of the team.
Yeah, a worry as far as Almiron's concerned. We'll let you know if there's a substitution start of the second half. Lewis Miley, it's just utterly ridiculous at the age of 17 what this kid is doing and what Newcastle are doing tonight here in the Parc des Princes, live on Talksport. It's Paris Saint-Germain 0, Newcastle United 1, the second half to come live on Talksport. It is not going well for Manchester City. This home form that they've had for so long is suddenly imploding at the Etihad. Half-time, Mickey Gray.
Yeah, it certainly is, Adrian. Manchester City 0, RB Leipzig 2, and it's been the Lewis Openda show. I have to say, absolutely outstanding first-half performance. He got his first goal on 12 minutes. It was assisted by the goalkeeper, Yanis Blezic. It was just a long ball through, and he came toe-to-toe with Akanji, shrugged him out of the way. A couple of touches later, and just slots the ball into the back of the net to make it 1-0 and silence his City crowd. The second one did come on 33 minutes. They were stuck in the left-hand corner, and again Xavi Simons, who's been absolutely fantastic as well in the first half. Simple ball just played down the left-hand side, and again Openda just showed his strength. He shrugged off Ruben Diaz, he ran himself into the 18-yard box, chopped back onto his right foot and fired the ball low into the opposite corner to make it 2-0 to Leipzig in this first half. But Manchester City have been absolutely... I've never seen Rodri give the ball away as much in 45 minutes through the whole of the season so far. He's been really, really poor, and I think there's going to be changes for Manchester City in the second half. Ake did stay out to do a little bit of a warm-up, so that would not surprise me, but there's certainly work to do for the home side in the second half. Manchester City 0, RB Leipzig 2.
Well, Loris Openda, the former Lens player, doing really well at the Etihad there, and I've got to say Xavi Simons was linked with Manchester City before going to Leipzig, and they'll be ruined the fact that they didn't go and get their man. Half-time in the Championship at Vicarage Road as well, Ian Abrahams.
Watford 2, Norwich 2. What a half of football here. Norwich 2 up inside 12 minutes. Danny Bart heading home Sarah's corner inside 3, and Hwang from best part of 30 yards out. Watford on the back foot and not really at the races. Out of nowhere, Kone from 25 yards reduced the arrears on the half-hour mark, and within 120 seconds they were level. Rajovic heading home Jamal Lewis's cross against his former club. Watford could have scored 2 more before the break but didn't. Second half's going to be good. Watford 2, Norwich 2.
In the second half of the MKM in the Championship, Mark Wilson.
Yeah, Hull continue their dominance. It's Hull 4, Rotherham 0, and it's Jaden Philogene who's got his 6 in his last 7. It was great work again from Tyler Morton. He's been outstanding. Lakilo put the cross in, Twine denied by Johansson. Ball fell to Philogene, who smashed it home for his 2nd of the night. Hull 4, Rotherham 0.
Let me give you some scorelines. Champions League Group E, Lazio beat Celtic 2-0. Celtic out of the Champions League. In fact, they're out of Europe altogether. They can't even make the Europa League now. Feyenoord 0, Atletico Madrid 1 at half-time as well. In Group F, AC Milan 1, Borussia Dortmund 1. Milan missing a penalty as well. PSG 0, Newcastle 1 here at the Parc des Princes. Second half to come. Group G, Man City 0, Leipzig 2. Young Boys 2, Red Star Belgrade 0. Group H, Shakhtar Donetsk beat Royal Antwerp 1-0 earlier. It's Barcelona 1, FC Porto 1. Cancelo for Barcelona. Championship, Cardiff have just gone a goal down at home to West Bromwich Albion. Jeremy Sarmiento, the former Brighton man, with it. Cardiff 0, West Brom 1. That's live on Talksport 2. Coventry 0, Plymouth 0. Hull 4, Rotherham 0. Leads into the second half. Middlesbrough 3, Preston 0. QPR 1, Stoke 1. Watford 2, Norwich 2. In League 1, I'll give you the games with goals. The rest are goalless. Blackpool 0, Northampton 1. Bristol Rovers 1, Orient 0. It's Burton 0, the leaders, or former leaders. Portsmouth 1. Lincoln 2 up at Cambridge. Charlton 1, Cheltenham 1. Stevenage 2, Peterborough 1. Joel Randall's just pulled one back for the Posh. Wigan 2, 10-man Fleetwood 0. And Reading 3, Carlisle 1. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. League 2 very quickly. Swindon 2 up at Accrington. Barrow Walsall 1-0. Doncaster 1, Colchester 1. Forest Green 0, Bradford 2. Harrogate 1, Wrexham 2. Mansfield 1, Tranmere 1. Grimsby 1 up at MK Dons. It's 1 apiece between Morecambe and Newport. 1 apiece between Notts County and Crawley. And Sutton 1, Crewe 1. Dunfermline in the Championship in Scotland have just taken the lead against Arbroath as well. Just keep me in touch with all the goals that are going in this evening on Talksport. The big game here at the Parc des Princes, live on Talksport. Newcastle lead away to Paris Saint-Germain.
Kick-off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Wrapping presents? Before you try and find the end of the tape, again, take time to treat yourself at McDonald's. Introducing the Big and Cheesy, with or without bacon. 100% beef patty, delicious cheese sauce, crispy onions, even more cheese sauce, and a freshly toasted snowflake bun. Available until the 3rd of January. Served from 11 a.m, participating restaurants only, subject to availability.
10 green bottles standing on a wall.
Oi, are you going to join in, Grog Bucket?
I'm wondering where the next charger is.
There's a BP Pulse charger coming up any minute, love.
Well, in that case...
And if one green bottle should accidentally fall, there'd be none.
Nothing keeps happy you going like knowing when a BP Pulse charger is nearby. Download the BP Pulse app to keep you going. BP's here for your travel needs, mostly with petrol and diesel, but BP Pulse already has over 3,000 rapid and ultra-fast charging points.
Everything's just 100 mile an hour.
It's just the whole atmosphere.
Betfred, in-store and online.
Love sport.
Betfred.
18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Vinnie Jones is kicking off a new life in the country.
I'm renovating my knackered farmyard in West Sussex.
Can you spot the wild man? From the wildlife, is this a stag or Vinnie Jones? A cuckoo or Vinnie Jones? A nightingale or Vinnie Jones? To find out, stream the brand new series Vinnie Jones in the Country, now on Discovery Plus, or visit discoveryplus.com. T's and C's apply. Subscription required. 18 plus. Auto renews unless cancelled.
Welcome to 32 Red Online Casino! Incredible! Play over 500 games, including exclusive slots, the Cube, Tipping Point, and I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here! Join Join 32 Red and get a bang tiny welcome bonus up to 150 quid. 150 quid? That's incredible! Visit 32red.com to claim. 18 plus begambleaware.org. New accounts only. Minimum £10 deposit. Up to 50 times wagering. Max stakes apply. Visit 32red.com for full terms.
Good evening, night workers. This is the last train home, calling us a job well done and ready for bed via 6 McNuggets or a warm apple pie. Our final destination, as always, is home. Plenty of McDonald's restaurants are open late tonight. See mcdonalds.com for opening times.
In the middle of Lidl, it's all fun and games because the Lidl Big Toy event is back. Get Hot Wheels play sets for just $6.99, a Harry Potter Lego set for $19.99, and Barbie Mermaid for just $6.99. These and more in store from Thursday, 30th of November. Now that's big on quality and always Lidl on price. Subject to availability, selected stores, GB only.
You can't beat the feeling of the team you've backed scoring a last-minute winner, or the ball landing on your lucky number 7 on the roulette wheel. But at LiveScore Bet, we know that when it comes to betting, nothing is a dead cert. That's why we want you to get the most out of betting with us responsibly. We've got a range of tools to help you stay the right side of the line, from deposit limits and spending controls to a cool-off period. Visit the safer gambling section on livescorebet.com or download the app for more details. Bet responsibly. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent on Talksport Drive with Motorpoint. Destination sports conversation fueled by unfiltered opinion with quality guests as standard and a couple of motor mouths.
Something's not right, is it?
That's rubbish. It's the daily radio road trip that takes you to the farthest corners of the nation's football fanscape.
I'm just in my flat, chilling out.
Yeah, I think you might be my favourite so far, mate. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Talksport Drive, tomorrow afternoon from 4 on Talksport with Motorpoint. There's no car like a Motorpoint car.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on DAB, online and on your smart speaker.
Oh, what a finish!
The Champions League, live on Talksport.
Live from the Parc des Princes, we're still waiting for the teams to come out second half. I can tell you Newport 2 went up at Morecambe. I can also tell you Ender Stevens sent off for Stoke, who one apiece at QPR in the Championship, and Harrogate have come from 2 down to be level 2-2 at home to Wrexham. Let's get the half-time odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Well, Newcastle are 1-0 up here at PSG. The Magpies are 7-5 to win. The draw's 19-10. PSG to turn it around at 21-10. Kylian Mbappe to score the next goal in this game was 5-2. Odds boosted now to 3-1. That's the latest odds with Ladbrokes. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Well, teams on the way up, and Man United in Istanbul ahead of their crunch game away to Galatasaray tomorrow. It's live on Talksport 2 at 5:45. And while their form's recovered in the Premier League a little bit, Eric Ten Hag's side have just 3 points from 4 games in their Champions League group. However, the Red Devils boss feels there will just always be a negative narrative around Manchester United.
You can always find. Last year we couldn't win away from home. There was an issue. Now we can't win at home. Now we win away games, and now you're bringing up we don't win away games in Europe. We know we can do, and we are confident because the last games away from home in the league, also in very hostile environments, we played very well. We were very calm and composed.
Well, there you go, Eric Ten Hag with his own view on Manchester United and how they're perceived. They'll be perceived in a certain light if they lose to Galatasaray tomorrow in Turkey. It's live on Talksport 2, 5:45 kickoff tomorrow. And United's next Premier League match, exclusive on Talksport. It's a Saturday night one, 8 p.m, and it's away at Newcastle United, who are out for the second half. Miggy Almiron is out for the second half as well, and they're about to get underway. Newcastle lead 1-0 here in the French capital. It's PSG 0, Newcastle 1. Second half live from the Parc des Princes on Talksport with the former Newcastle manager Alan Pardew and Talksport's chief football commentator Sam Matterface.
And it was pointed out to me by Martin Hardy from the Times at half-time that Bruno Guimaraes has run 6.83 kilometres in that first half. which is half a kilometre more than any PSG player out on the field of play. The second highest running stats belong to Lewis Miley, 6.74 kilometres in that first 45 minutes. And I think underscores what brilliant first half that he's had. They have to be a little bit careful not to blow themselves out.
Yeah, but that, you know, those sort of margins and those levels of intensity are what you expect at this level. You know, and PSG having a little bit more possession, their levels will be a little bit more down than Newcastle. But now the emphasis is on them, and they're kicking to their home fans, the ultras down on our left-hand side.
And they're wearing dark blue shirts with a red slash down the left side of their jerseys, but they're dealing with Isaac, who's trying to get to the edge of the penalty area on the breakaway for Newcastle at the start of the second half. He gets it back to the edge of the area. Miley's ball to the right doesn't reach Almiron, and it goes towards the near touchline where it will be cleared away. I'll run through the two lineups. No changes at half-time. They've given the ball away again, PSG, as they're trying to play out from the back. Bruno Guimaraes just handed it back. Mawani's trying to escape, and he's got the better of Trippier and played it down to Mbappe. He scampers into a left wing position. His cross is blocked by Lascelles, and that will be cleared out on the near side and away for a corner kick.
I mean, the worry for Newcastle is Almiron doesn't look like he's moving well to me, and he's had all half time, so this is a slight concern, I think.
They're so limited with their substitutes. They've hardly got anyone on the bench, especially a forward player, to be able to help them out. The bench is so threadbare. They've only got Hall, Dummett of senior quality, Ndewani, Huntley and Parkinson. None of whom have started a game for the club. Ndewani came off the bench at the weekend. Huntley hasn't played for the club before, so there's a lot of teenagers as backup, no forward players of senior variety available to Eddie Howe, so he's almost got to get through the game here, Almiron, and do his best. They've won a free kick on halfway, a free kick which is going to be taken by Trippier, and Newcastle with Pope in goal. Trippier, Lascelles, Cher and Livramento has been brilliant. Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes and Lewis Miley, who similarly has done well. Almiron, Isaac and Gordon are the three-pronged attack. I'll go through the PSG side in just a second. Lascelles has done brilliantly to win it off Luca Hernandez on halfway. Almiron's drawn another foul, so I'll tell you that it's Donnarumma who made a mistake for the goal between the sticks for PSG. Away to our right-hand side now, shooting from right to left. Luca Hernandez is the left back, the right back Hakimi, the two centre-halves Danilo and Milan Skriniar, who was accused of a handball on the stroke of half-time when Isaac appeared to be running through, and he would have been one-on-one had it have gone in his favour. Kangin, Lee, Ugarte and Ruiz, the three-man midfield, with Dembele on the right, Mbappe on the left, and through the middle, Randall, Kolo, Mawani. 1-0 to Newcastle, courtesy of a goal scored by Alexander Isak after a shot from Almiron was spilled by Donnarumma, but it was all set up by a tinkering Tino Livramento run.
Yeah, and interesting in the second half so far. PSG trying to raise the game, but not really threatening. And Newcastle, if I was Eddie, would be quite happy with how this has started. I mean, Livramento, you could, if they do have a problem in midfield, the way he's playing tonight, you could slip him in there and put Dummett left back. So that is an option for Eddie.
Well, obviously, he is right-footed. He could come out actually and play on the right-hand side if necessary, and you could bring Dummett or Lewis Hall on and play over on that far side, so you could just reconfigure the team if need be. 5 minutes played in the second half, ball given away by Newcastle, but the throw-in wasn't capitalised on by PSG, who are on the halfway line now and in possession. Newcastle's last trip to France ended in defeat. Alan will remember it, a 2-0 defeat to Bordeaux in the Europa League in 2012, and the Sojourns de France have been largely unforgiving, save for a win against Sochaux in the UEFA Cup back in 2004, but they have won a free kick over on the far side, and it was a challenge by Skriniar which has put the ball out of play. Well, it's either a free kick or it's a throw-in. It's got the potential to be a free kick, really, but actually the last man it touched was Anthony Gordon. That's why I thought that he was going to give the free kick. He's giving the throw-in instead. They've still built the play, given it to Joel Linton, then sent it back to halfway. Cher guides it back to Pope, and Newcastle in possession once again. Trippier down the right. Almiron's under pressure but gets the ball infield to Lewis Hall. Protects it really well, Lewis Hall. Into Bruno Guimaraes. He clips it down the right-hand side, looking for the run of Almiron. Danilo, he's under pressure from the Paraguayan. And again, Almiron's just not quite right, is he? He's just pulled up slowly there as he went to chase into the right wing position. You can just see that he's moving gingerly. He's not at full tilt.
Yeah, he has that kind of face where he's grimacing permanently, so you're never quite sure when you look at him. But he does look a little bit uncomfortable in terms of his balance with the ball.
That's not true of Mbappe, but he's been outdone by Lewis Miley as the ball has been played out towards his near side. Trippier's then given the ball away, and then Almiron has just shot it clear.
Yeah, I mean, Miley, that's one for the scrapbook, isn't it? 17 and just stealing it off the world's greatest player. Brilliant.
Not bad. It's a great experience for some of the young players, no matter what happens here tonight. Livramento, Gordon, Lewis Miley. He became the 6th youngest player to assist a Premier League goal when he teed up Isaac at the weekend against Chelsea. Bruno Guimaraes, talking to local radio straight afterwards, says Lewis Miley is massive. He's a star at only 17 years of age. That's some compliment from a senior teammate.
Just cut it out again there.
Yes, he has. But Almiron can capitalise on halfway. Fabian Ruiz brings it forward for PSG. There was a little bit of, especially in the first 15 minutes, a period of uncontrolled aggression from PSG, which Newcastle just about got away with a lot of last-ditch defending and a little bit of fortune. But since they just upped their ante a little bit, there hasn't been much from PSG, and they've been slightly underwhelming, I think. But they've only played 52 minutes. Here's Lee, out wide to the right. Achraf Hakimi moving up to the edge of the penalty area. It's back in field to Ugarte, and then, well, the ball is squeezed out to the far side, and Hakimi is slowed once again. They're all camped on the edge of the area, Newcastle. They were adept so well last season at keeping clean sheets, weren't they?
Yeah, but I personally think Enrique's got a message to his team to be a bit more patient in that last third and try and work a situation. And when you do that, you actually pin the team back a little bit more for a longer period. And I think that might be what the message is, because they seem to be taking a lot more time in getting at Newcastle.
Yeah, and because that means that Newcastle spend even more time without the ball and the ability to escape, that it just tires you out mentally as well as physically.
Absolutely.
That's a poor ball across his own middle third by Bruno Guimaraes, but they just about got away with it, Newcastle. And Almiron now on the escape up to halfway. Miley again plays the ball in behind. Isaac wasn't on the same wavelength as him and didn't see the opportunity coming his way. Paris Saint-Germain know their own goal stats. They know they can blow you away. They've scored 20 goals in their 6-game league-winning run, including 3 goals in each of their previous 5 league matches, before hitting 5 on Friday. So they have firepower, and Eddie Howe will be aware of that. Firepower at Hull City's ground tonight as well. There's been quite a few goals for Mark Wilson.
Yeah, but it's Hull 4, Rotherham 1. A goal back for Rotherham. Corner whipped in by Rathbone. There was Grant Hall. Soft header, but it beat Allsop. It's Hull 4, Rotherham 1.
Here's Dembele right side, back to the edge of the area, and Lee now takes it on, looks to go beyond Bruno Guimaraes, but he spotted him. He was pulled back, and Lee's going to get a yellow card. And that's because he stopped a promising attack. And the midfielder who joined from Mallorca, who has been in good goal-scoring form for his national team as well as for PSG.
I think he's an absolutely terrific player, and he's a key player for the PSG. If Lee can get on the ball a little bit more, I think PSG will become more of a threat. So to have him in the book actually is not a bad thing. Slow him down a bit.
1-0 to Newcastle United, who lead thanks to Isaac's strike from 25 minutes. We've played 55. There's been another goal at the Etihad for Mickey Gray.
Yes, there has, Sam. Yeah, 54 minutes on the clock. It's Manchester City 1, RB Leipzig 2, and it's Erling Haaland with his 5th Champions League goal of the season. He's just made a couple of changes. Alvarez and Doku, who came onto the field, weren't really involved in it. Phil Foden, it was a lovely through ball. Haaland got himself into the 18-yard box, slotted the ball low into the bottom corner. Game back on. Man City 1, RB Leipzig 2.
Back here in the French capital, PSG are on the attack. Livramento manages to just divert the ball away from Dembele, and then Fabien Cher takes no chances under pressure from Kolo Muane. and despite the presence of Pope, and kicks it straight out of play. Back in it comes. PSG with Lee on the ball now, right side. Steers it back to Danilo. Danilo left and on to Luca Hernandez. He runs up towards the left side of the Newcastle defence and then has to turn back into the centre and gives it to Danilo once more. And PSG patiently, as Alan has already pointed out, a little bit more patiently than they were in the first half, just keeping hold of possession, trying to find the little gaps that Newcastle leave. They're trying to move them from side to side, just open them up, prise them open slowly.
Yeah, and just tire them out. You know, they know, tactically, they've got no one on the bench. There's no surprise to say, right, well, let's get to the last 10 minutes, keep the ball. See if
good ball in towards Dembele. He pokes it towards the goalkeeper. It's safe. Overhead kick, scissor kick by Mbappe is wild. Comes back towards Fabian Ruiz on the left-hand side. He can't centre it. It's blocked by Lascelles and it goes out for a throw-in. And that was a mistake. And they very quickly got in. And when Dembele centred the ball there in towards Mbappe, I thought it was curtains.
Yeah, and Mbappe 9 times out of 10 just smashes that in. But you've already labelled him a poor striker, and he didn't let you down, did he? But this is PSG now playing how I expected PSG to play. A little bit more assurance, a little bit more controlled, pushing Newcastle back.
16 goals in 16 games. Not what you would say is a poor striker, but I did say in the first half, I just wondered whether one of those ruthless, horrible, nasty finishers inside the box, a poacher, would have smashed that first chance beyond.
Sometimes
Nick
when you
Pope.
Just keep digging, it just seems to get worse, doesn't it?
Oh, I'm so glad you came. Here is Miley on the right-hand side, trying to get into the right wing position. There's a wrestling match going on between Trippier and Luca Hernandez, and the referee just intervening, the assistant referee on the near side intervening, because Almiron's had a word with Fabian Ruiz, spicing things up in the right wing position. Remember, if Newcastle lose tonight, they're out in the Champions League. Win, and boy, they've got a great chance. They have got a great chance. But there's still a very long way to go. The ball swept by Mbappe out towards the right. Dembele trying to chase. Livramento positioned himself brilliantly and went down on the challenge of Dembele. And it's going to be a yellow card. And I think it's a yellow card for Dembele, who made the challenge over on the far side. Hakimi was protesting, but it is Dembele who gets booked for the push on Livramento, being far too aggressive.
Well, the one good thing about that whole action was that Livramento's quick, because Dembele is so fast, and he kept up with him, and he did foul him. It looked like he just put enough on his body to create the foul. So again, Livramento superb.
And that means that Dembele cannot play in the group decider next time out. He can't play in that game. Gordon is running in behind the PSG defence as the ball's played over the top, and he doesn't quite get there, and the ball is cleared by Skriniar. The free kick was launched upfield, and Gordon does have that propensity to get in behind. He didn't quite reach it, and it's cleared away by PSG. So Dembele cannot play in the final game against Dortmund after picking up that yellow card. And that is a key miss for them, another miss for them. They've had quite a few absentees. Marquinhos, the captain, is not available, for example, tonight. He's not the only one who's not available. There's quite a few, actually, who have picked up injuries, including the young, prodigious talent Warren Zaire-Emery, who recently made his debut for France and has played actually every Champions League game before tonight. Ball out wide on the right with Hakimi for PSG, looking for an equaliser against Newcastle live on Talksport. It's not a great ball down the right channel, and it's cut out, but Joe Linton has sent Gordon down the left-hand side, and he skipped past the challenge of Skriniar, and Skriniar's come out, and he's knocked him over on the edge of the area, and it's going to be a yellow card for Milan Skriniar.
And if he'd have been booked for that handball, it would have been him gone there. I mean, he's just taken him out. Gordon did so well, took him on. In fact, beforehand, Gordon had a great chance, It was a well-worked set play. They'd waited. It was a long pass from Lascelles, I think, and Gordon was in, and he should have hit it left-footed. And unfortunately, he cut back and lost it. But he did brilliant there. He's won a free kick, and this is Trippier territory. This is about 25 yards, maybe 23 yards. It's perfect for him to dip this over the wall and into the goal. Come on, my man.
Milan 1, Dortmund 2 in the other game in this group. And that has given Dortmund a great chance of qualification tonight. They'll have 10 points and a decent head-to-head record against the others in the group. They might not necessarily be able to go through this evening, but they're in a almost unbelievable position, unassailable position, as Trippier's effort takes a flick off the wall and goes out for a corner on this near side. 2 substitutions about to take place. Vitinha and Barcola coming on for Luis Enrique. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but do you think he kept Vitinha behind and because he thought that maybe Newcastle were tired because they have got so few replacements on the bench?
You know, he has a squad of great quality, world-class players, so he can mix it up a little bit, keep players fresh. But these changes are fairly early, so maybe he had a half an idea this might happen.
Trippier take the corner off from this near side, right-footed, deep towards the far post. Lascelles coming in underneath it, heads it, but there was a foul given against Fabian Schär. And they're going to stop the game anyway because they want to allow these substitutions to take place. The first of those sees the removal of Manuel Ugarte, so it's a defensive midfield player coming off, and on comes on Vitinha, who is a little bit more progressive, and Barcola coming on as well, and off has gone Randall Kolo Muani, which means that Mbappe's gone through the middle.
Absolutely. You know, if you're losing 1-0 and you've got a player of his class and his ability, then put him through the middle, and that's where I would stick him at this stage. And I think that's a good move by Enrique.
Danilo moving over halfway towards the left, and Luca Hernandez plays it back in field to Danilo. A bit of space here for Vitinha, who progresses the ball forward into Barcola. Barcola sends it back to Vitinha, the 2 substitutes combining in the left wing position. Steered back towards the edge of the area, and then it's been picked up by Fabian Ruiz and shifted on towards the right hand side. Dembele trying to trick his way to the edge of the box. Back it goes instead to Fabian Ruiz, again from side to side from PSG as they look to try and prise open this stubborn Newcastle resistance. It's picked up once again by Lee. Lee exchanges passes with Dembele, gets round the back to the byline, cuts it back towards the edge of the 6-yard box. There's claims of handball. Barcola is leading those, and Simon Marciniak is waving away the protests.
You know, PSG are starting to carve out chances now. That was a great situation there that Lee created almost by himself, but they're keeping it, passing it around, really working Newcastle now.
Newcastle got to be careful here. They've got to keep their cool, they've got to keep their shape, they've got to keep the discipline, and they've got to expect a renaissance from the French as we go into the final quarter of the game. Ball is deep and back with PSG's back line. Danilo to Skriniar, who has now been booked. Plays it wide on the right hand side. Hakimi trying to come forward. Schär was equal to it, read it, pinched it, comes up to the halfway line, tucks it infield. Remember, Ali McCoist is back on Breakfast tomorrow, live from Paris. Alan Pardew will join him. I heard Laura on Breakfast with Ali this morning. It was nice of her to pop in, see her old mates. They're back tomorrow from 6 o'clock. Ali and Alan back at base, and Alan Pardew will be in Paris reflecting on this game. Almiron from the edge of the area after it popped off the chest of Lewis Miley, tries a volley. It was always going to be difficult, I think, and it did just sky away past the goal frame away to our right hand side, and actually towards those Newcastle supporters, who I think as time ticks away, Alan, will get increasingly more nervous.
Yeah, but at the moment they're okay. I mean, you know, definitely PSG are being a bit more patient, a bit more kind of precise in what they're doing. So Newcastle got to concentrate.
Dembele trying to feed Hakimi as he bounds forward over on the right hand side. The Moroccan turns the ball back into Dembele's path. It's swept out wide to Barcola. Barcola, who comes in on his right foot, tries a shot, hits the body of Lewis Miley, once again blocking and filling a gap, and it comes out on this near touchline and away for a throw to PSG. It's going to be all hands to the pump from now to the end, you feel, for Newcastle.
And I would actually like to see Isak sort of drop a little bit deeper actually as the striker.
Lee out to Hakimi. Hakimi's low cross into the box, takes a little deflection off Livramento, whose arms were by the side of his body, might have struck one of them. It's headed back by Skriniar. Isak tries to chase it. Danilo will get there and eat it up.
Yeah, I mean, crucial time now for Newcastle. They're just starting to get stretched a little bit.
And Mbappe is speeding in down the right channel, collecting the ball once again, looking to probe. He teases past one challenge, gets into the box, then steers it into the centre. Barcola, what a save from Pope! It's a magnificent Nick Pope save after a carved out opportunity by Mbappe, who fed Barcola, and somehow divine intervention from Pope has saved Newcastle.
What a save that is. I mean, the world's greatest player showed his class there. He created that out of nothing.
Here's the corner. Pope comes again. There's a push inside the box. Did it go out and then back in again? They're stopping it for a push in the build-up to it. And they'll take the corner kick again. What a save, Alan.
Oh, what a save. It was pulled back by Mbappe. And all he's got to do is hit the target. And he does. He hits it well. But the keeper throws himself to the right, knocks it around the post.
Lee in towards the near post, away by Joel Linton. We thought he'd have to make some serious stops if Newcastle were going to escape here with anything. He's made an absolute blinder of a save on 66 minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to see that back because it looks brilliant in real time. It was so fast. It was a great connection that he seemed to get across so fast across his goal.
67 on the clock. PSG probing once again. And it's been an absolutely absorbing game, hasn't it?
Brilliant game. Brilliant.
Start of the match right the way through. It's kept your attention. PSG have dominated the ball. They've tried to pick apart Newcastle. It was a bit of a... it's a brilliant back heel into Barcola again. Down the left side netting. Well, he sat down the goalkeeper actually, and if he tucked it in at the near post, he might have beaten him. But he missed the target after a beautiful little move. A lovely little touch from Mbappe to feed Barcola, who went down the side of the 6-yard box and steered it wide of goal.
Mbappe again, he's at the centre now. You know, when he's going through the middle now, he's going to create moments like this. 2 moments purely out of instinct from him. He created 2 great chances, and he should have scored. I'm just looking back at the Pope save. It's a great save. It's sort of at him. I didn't think it was actually as central as it was, but it's still a great save.
He's made it with his knee.
Yeah. Don't matter, does it?
No. He was just getting across, actually, the way he readjusted his body position, because actually he was going the other way initially and then had to come back. And as he did that, he steered it away. I mean, it doesn't look as good in slow-mo as it did in real time.
Yeah.
Because in real time, it was so quick, so fast. It was an instinctive save from Nick Pope. 68 minutes gone. This is Hakimi going down the right side. Gordon challenges him. The referee is surrounded by blue shirts because they think they deserve a penalty here. Simon Marciniak is waiting. He's told the players to go away. He said no chance, shaking his head, crack on, and now all of a sudden he's stopping the game and there is a potential penalty check.
I mean, the stadium is now alive.
And all of a sudden the noise elevates around the Parc des Princes. The volume knob is turned up. And the check is for a potential penalty foul by Anthony Gordon. Inside the box, he's stopped the play. He's grabbed hold of the ball, the Polish official. And he's talking to Tomasz Kwiatkowski, the VAR. He's trying to get some distance. And he's waved away the penalty. And he's going to give an uncontested drop ball.
I didn't think it was a penalty, actually. But of course, you know, this stadium is now desperate for the goal. So, you know, they're reacting. You know, in real time, I didn't think it was a penalty. I don't think the referee did either. But he obviously got a call in his ear because of the reaction of the crowd, I think. But they're away from it. It's 1-0. It's okay.
Would Stuart Atwell have given it?
Well, we'd have gone to VAR for 10 minutes, probably.
Well, last night there was a controversial penalty, he says with tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, just a bit.
Dortmund 3-1 up away in the San Siro. Goal at the Etihad, Nicky Gray.
Manchester City 2, RB Leipzig 2. Good play from Jasko Gvardiol down the left-hand side. Patient play. Just played the ball into City's best player tonight, Phil Foden. Takes a touch out of his feet, gets it into his left foot, just plays it into the bottom corner to get that equalising goal. Can they finish top of this group tonight? Manchester City 2, RB Leipzig 2.
Barcola is causing trouble down the left-hand side. He's bounced the ball against three defenders who now all high-five themselves because the last touch appeared to come off him, and it goes out for a goal kick.
And even Eddie gave him a high-five as well. They're all congratulating each other there. But, you know, it's like building, isn't it? You can sense this game just building now for PSG. It's going to be a real battle to keep this score sheet at 0 for Newcastle.
Paris Saint-Germain 0, Newcastle United 1. This is Talksport. It's cleared away by Nick Pope upfield and headed down by Skriniar into Lee, collected by Hakimi, and then it's steered away by Fabian Ruiz into the path of Vitinha. I think many people were surprised that Vitinha, who sounded quite a defiant note in his pre-match press conference, that after being put up in front of the press to sit there and defend his team and talk about how they wanted to try and make amends for that performance at St James's Park, didn't start the game. That was an eyebrow-raising decision, but he's on the pitch now. Here on the right side, Dembele steering it to Fabian Ruiz. Here is aforementioned Vitinha, left to Barcola, in towards Fabian Ruiz again. Another shout for handball, another big scream by PSG. Lee with an effort, flying towards goal. It's taken on by Barcola again. Lee, who's got much more into the game into the second half, and it's cleared away by Newcastle and high up over the halfway line. They're still asking for handball. Simon Marciniak is not interested. And now he's stopped, and he's going to give a yellow card to Donnarumma.
What? Why is he giving him a card?
Did he say something? He kicked the ball away? I think he was shouting at the official, wasn't he? It must be dissent.
Yeah, it sounds like... But you know now...
I think it's got to be dissent.
He's given a free kick to Newcastle, I think. Has he?
Yeah, he's
indirect free kick.
He's given an indirect to Newcastle, dissent. So it's dissent. It's definitely dissent.
And then they've kicked it back.
Oh dear.
The game never ceases to amaze.
Well, certainly there's been more than one or two things that have been amazing about tonight. Here comes Dembele, once again amazing with his pace in behind. He takes the ball down to take on Livramento, steers it back for Vitinha. He lays it back to Fabian Ruiz. His shot is blocked by Bruno Guimaraes, and it's cleared out of the penalty area by Newcastle, who are having to deal with wave after wave of PSG attack. Barcola, who's been tricky, gets the ball to Mbappe, always dangerous. He sends the ball across the 6-yard box, and it's hacked clear by Fabian Schär, and it's out on this near side. Paris Saint-Germain 0, Newcastle United 1 is the scoreline in Paris tonight, and with Milan doing so well, being beaten so well in their game away at home to Dortmund, it does mean it's still very tight for second place, because Dortmund will have 10 points, Newcastle 7, Milan 6 and PSG 6 at this moment in time, and they will still have to beat Milan on the final day if they can get away with 3 points here, Newcastle, to be ensuring a place in the last 16 of the Champions League. The ball is on the right with Dembele. It's taken on by Hakimi 10 yards outside the box, repelled by Joel Linton. It's going to be a long 16 minutes, I think, for Newcastle.
Absolutely, and you know there's going to be another penalty shout, 100%, I guarantee it. Someone's going to go over, or someone's going to claim for a handball, so the pressure will increase.
Here is Vitinha, back towards Barcola, away by Trippier, and offside is up over on the far side. What are you doing for Christmas, by the way? Anything exciting?
I won't be going to Paris again.
Don't you worry about it, because we got you covered on Talksport. Christmas looks absolutely cracking. We've got Jeff
Stelling then.
Jeff Stelling's turning up on Monday. The breakfast show starts.
Jeff, top man, Jeff.
6 till 10, Mondays and Tuesdays from next Monday, December the 4th. England's Caribbean Cricket Tour live on Talksport too.
Yeah, no, don't fancy that.
You don't want to go?
No, I don't fancy that at all.
Oh, I'd go. But it's live on Talksport 2, one-day internationals and T20 football. A mountain of football matches, including every match on Boxing Day, the 27th, the 28th, the 29th.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, we're going to be at all of them, and they're all live on the Talksport network. There's a huge amount of matches over the course of the next few weeks.
Bubble and squeak and boxing games, eh?
Yeah,
can't beat it.
You love a bit of that. Yeah. My dad loves a little buffet on Boxing Day.
Yeah, that's right.
A little buffet
Absolutely
Boxing
nice.
Day, football on the
pickles.
radio. Yeah, he loves that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I never get to go anymore.
Anyway, concentrate on the game.
The game's restarted, so we'll get on with that. I'll be at Manchester United versus Aston Villa on Boxing Day. Can't wait for that. That'll be a cracking game. What a ball forward by Fabian Ruiz. A lovely balletic turn just before the halfway line by Lee. And now Mbappe is racing through, but Pope watched it. His starting position was excellent, and he came off his line very quickly and snaffled it up on the edge of the 18-yard box.
Yeah, he's been terrific, Pope. He's looked sound all night tonight. I remember watching the first game and I thought he struggled, Pope. He's been brilliant tonight.
Well, he will be remembered for that save if it stays like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
1-0 with 14 minutes to go. Here is Dembele trying to get behind Gordon and then sending it further wide as PSG come on the offensive once again, and Newcastle, who have been so rigid so far in the game, have got to remain so for another 14 long minutes. The city of Paris has got some sights to behold: the Eiffel Tower, the Arc de Triomphe, Notre Dame, Sacré-Cœur, the list goes on. But Newcastle didn't come here for sightseeing. They came here to make a memory, and a memory that will
and a few
live
Irish
long.
Bars. I see a few in the Irish bars, a few of the Jordans.
Did you go and join them?
No.
Here is Fabian Ruiz. They'll be frequenting them again tonight and tomorrow.
Absolutely,
Should it stay like this? Lee across to Skriniar. Again, all the football being played in the Newcastle half. This is about 10 yards short of the edge of the penalty area, but they're keeping that line. They're keeping the tightness.
They've been very disciplined. Isak's in a much better position now. He's a little bit deeper, so he's not got that distance for the deep midfield player to keep getting on it.
Well, this is supposed to be a different PSG now, no longer a collection of indulgent superstars. No, there's still ego, to be sure, but the way Enrique talks, he talks about team. He talks about this is a new era which is more team-centric, even more French-centric actually, and I think that's probably behind his promotion of Dembele. They're looking to make their mark in this competition, but they've often been the bridesmaid, and tonight they might well be so again.
I mean, put aside Newcastle for a minute. For PSG, this is a massive disappointment. They've got the world's greatest player here. They've obviously got the funds and everything else that they need. They're expecting to get through this group.
Oh, without doubt.
And this is a major blow at the moment for them.
Yeah, they'll still have the opportunity to do that if they win their game on the final day, and Newcastle do not. And there's still a big opportunity for them. It's going to be all to play for going into that final week of Champions League action. We've got it all for you here on Talksport. Here on the right-hand side, Hakimi is centred across in towards Barcola, who's been watched closely by Lascelles. It's steered away by the Newcastle defence. 11.5 minutes to go on Talksport. Eddie Howe standing on the edge of the technical area, watching once again as his team look to defend. Lee goes down the right side. Livramento tries to stop him from twisting and turning and getting onto his left foot. He's gone one way, then the other, and then he's steered across, swirling through the box, but it's too high, and it goes through the 6-yard area, out the other side of the penalty box, and it's retrieved by Luca Hernandez. Vitinha back on again, in towards Fabian Ruiz. Dembele's come central in, he's trying to get the better of Guimaraes and Joel Linton. It comes towards Hakimi, and he lifts the ball right into that North Tribune away to our left-hand side, where the Ultras are still waving their flags, but not with the kind of energy that they were in the early part of the game, Alan. Yeah. They're starting to think this could be a frustrating night for them.
And you can see a couple of the players trying to sort of get each other going and get the crowd going. I mean, that's the right back of PSG having a left-footed shot there, way over the top. That's great news for Newcastle if they're getting to that sort of desperate stages. Enrique now, another change coming. He's got to find a way. He's got to find a new route. Maybe change it tactically again. Eddie really hasn't got any options but to stick with this team, I don't think. Maybe done it, but I can't see at the moment anyone coming off.
Well, I mean, it's good news for Manchester United if all these 11 players have to work all the way through to the 95th, 96th minute. Marco Asensio is the man who is going to come on. He's going to come on in the next few minutes. He scored in the Champions League final in 2017.
Yeah, he's not a bad sub, is he?
He's all right, but he's had a bit of an injury. He scored 2 goals in his first 3 games for PSG, but hasn't been seen in a PSG shirt since September. Dembele's trodden on the ball, and that's allowed Fabian Schär to step in. He hacks it to halfway. Back to halfway it goes, and Danilo then turns it back, and PSG once again turn their guns on Newcastle. They're aiming, they're firing, but at this moment in time they haven't done any damage. But there's still 10 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Down the right side they meander once again, exchanging passes at a slower tempo than in the first half as they look to try and tire this Newcastle team out. Surely they'll be weary now after working so hard, tirelessly, to keep PSG at bay. The ball sent by Lee out to Hakimi. Hakimi, who's hugging the right touchline, finds Lee again. He wraps the ball into Mbappe. Dembele gets in his way. He goes back through the 6-yard area, and it's steered away by Trippier before it can reach Barcola.
Great feet. Great 2 world-class players on the ball there. Some great feet in that box. But you know what's worrying for Newcastle? They've not had one counter-attack for about 10 minutes now. It just keeps coming now. It's just wave after wave.
Yep, it's just wave after wave of attack, and here on the left hand side the ball is sent into the box once again by Luca Hernandez. It's steered by Newcastle. Isaac's got it, but he can't go anywhere with it, and he's about 10 yards outside his box when he gives it away, and Mbappe has played it behind the slender figure of Luca Hernandez, who thrashes it into the near post, and Dembele puts it wide right on the edge of the 6-yard box. Maybe a step inside. Fabian Schär did enough to put him off, and boy was that close to conceding an equaliser for Newcastle United. It's narrowly wide.
You know, in these type of games, no matter how well you play, you do need a bit of luck. And they've had 2 or 3 big chances tonight, PSG, and they've missed all 3 of them. And but you have to earn the right. You've got to keep at it. And Newcastle have done that.
There's a delay here as Asensio comes onto the field of play. We can go off to a goal at Watford in Abrahams.
Watford 3, Norwich 2. Hoot shot from distance was saved by Long, parried out to Spreer, who scored from a tight angle. What a turnaround for the home side of a 2 down. Watford 3, Norwich 2.
It's Lee who's come off to be replaced by Marco Asensio. What did you make of that change?
Well, I thought Lee has been terrific, but Asensio, he's got that sort of magic feet. You know, he can produce a goal out of nothing. So I can see why he stuck him on. I mean, for Eddie now, they need some kind of release. And, you know, the young boy, Miley, has been the last sort of moments of this game. He's starting to feel a little bit tired. He's just slashed at a couple of things. And I don't know if he's changing his position at the moment, but maybe they're having a little bit of a reorganisation.
Full time at Hull, Mark Wilson.
Yeah, Hull 4, Rotherham 1. Darrington first half. Morton, Philogene and Twine had City 3-0 up at the break. Philogene got a early second half. Hull got a late consolation for Rotherham. It's Hull 4, Rotherham 1.
So if it stays like this, Dortmund will have 10 points and be top of the group. Second place will go to Newcastle, 7 points. And then just behind them, 6 points, Paris Saint-Germain. And then bottom of the pile, AC Milan with 5. But here comes Mbappe away to our left-hand side, trying to keep the ball in by the byline as PSG come forward again. We're ticking off the minutes here. There's 6.5 to play. And Lascelles plays it against Luca Hernandez, who leaves something on him. There is a delay for a free kick, so we'll go to Graham Corney, who's got details of a late goal.
Yeah, and the final whistle's just gone. Only 30 seconds ago, though. Alex Bangura, snapshot, edge of the area. It's finished. Middlesbrough 4, Preston 0.
Thank you very much, Graham Courtney, who I think will be smiling as he hears the updates from this game tonight. Graham, you're enjoying this. 84 minutes now on the clock. Nick Pope has the ball away to our right. Gonzalo Ramos is about to come on to add another prong to the PSG attack. That's how desperate they are to try and get something from this game.
Yeah, they're just throwing now, just attackers on in midfield positions to try and create that one moment to get them the goal.
The problem
they're quite, I think they quite happily settle for a 1-1 here, PSG.
The problem is for Newcastle, having worked so hard, any sort of submission of this advantage now will feel absolutely devastating, won't it?
Absolutely. So a centre-half comes off. Midfielder goes to centre-back.
Yeah. Danilo comes off and Gonzalo Ramos is on. Just to change the compunction of the midfield. We'll get to that in just a second, but the ball is with Asensio in the right side of midfield position, halfway in the Newcastle territory. It goes from right to left, first to Vitinha and then Barcola back again. Skriniar switches it back out to the right. Hakimi trying to play it down the side for Asensio, who reached a ball which looked to be evading him. It comes back to Hakimi, whose cross is deflected into the air, and Gordon manages to edge it out, and then Bruno Guimaraes protects it brilliantly in the corner and then gives it away to Asensio's cross into the box. He's aimed towards Barcola, who doesn't touch it, and somehow it sneaks through to Pope.
Wow. I thought all he had to do was just get something on that, where it's probably just in front of him, to be honest. It's desperate times now. They just got to dig in, Newcastle. I'm looking at the individual players. They all look tired, as you'd imagine. It's been a hell of an effort. And can they just get to the end now? How long have we got?
We've got 4 minutes and 7 seconds plus stoppage time.
Yeah.
And it's been heroic, Herculean effort from those Newcastle players. They've had an injury list longer than that you usually see at an A&E on a Saturday night.
In Newcastle.
And they've managed to deal with that, put a team out, and this 11 players that have come out here in the Parc des Princes have worked themselves into the ground to try and protect this lead, a lead that they got after 25 minutes, and they've had their backs to the wall ever since, and they've still got some defending to do. Dembele back to Skriniar towards the far side. Asensio, Dembele once again up to Mbappe, a little Cruyff turn inside the box, gets a better of share, shoots, stopped by the goalkeeper, comes back to him and he's flashed it wide. Unbelievable. The Newcastle goal is living a charmed life.
Wow, what a bit of ability from Mbappe. He shrugs off one defender, hits a great right-footed shot, then hits a great left-footed shot, but it goes just wide, like an inch. It's a brilliant effort. Oh.
Well, you don't want to say it because there's still time to go, but sometimes it's written in the stars.
Yeah.
What were you saying to me tonight? Things are strange. There's a full moon out there.
Absolutely. Paris was shut, really.
We were walking to the ground and up high in the sky, a clear sky tonight, the moon illuminated, and Alan pointed it to it and he said, oh, full moon. Strange. Offside up against Barcola. And it's going to be a free kick to Newcastle United with 2 minutes and 16 seconds to play. There was an update from somewhere else. I think there's been a goal with Mickey Gray.
Certainly has. The complete turnaround here, Sam. Manchester City 3, RB Leipzig 2. And it's Julian Alvarez. Fantastic play from Phil Foden. A lovely little give and go in the box. Plays in Alvarez. 2 touches later. Right foot fires it low into the back of the net. The turnaround complete. Manchester City 3, RB Leipzig 2.
West Brom are our subject of commentary on Saturday lunchtime on Talksport. They take on Leicester in the Championship. That's 12:30 on Saturday. And they've just beaten Cardiff by a goal to nil on Talksport 2. And those listeners from Talksport 2 are joining us at the Parc des Princes in Paris, where there's 90 seconds of the game left and Newcastle are leading by a goal to nil, but PSG are throwing everything at them. The ball's on the right with Dembele. It sneaks down the right side, takes a deflection, and Nick Pope can't stop it from going for a corner in the 89th minute of the game.
Gordon was just caught upfield there. I watched him. He ran full sprint, 80 yards to get on the recovery.
Here's the cross into the near post. Mbappe sticks a leg out. He goes down under the challenge of Bruno Guimaraes. He gets bellowed at by the Brazilian, who thinks it was a dive, and he might have a case. It's cleared away from the edge of the box. We're going into the final minute on Talksport and Talksport 2. It's Newcastle United who lead and are going second in the group in the Champions League. Milan have beaten Dortmund in the same group, but Paris are coming towards the edge of the area again, and then Asensio with a wild effort goes flashing over the crossbar and out into the carpeted area behind the goal away to our left, and it remains 1-0.
I just see Eddie coming out his box now. He's trying to keep his players, keep going. I haven't seen him approach a substitute. I don't know if they're warming up to our left here, but I haven't seen him looking like it's going to bring one on. So at the moment, they're going with this team, and they're going to have to dig in. There's still time. Senior.
Well, there is still time. There's still time for Newcastle United to be under the pump, to be under pressure, because there are 8 added minutes. 8 added minutes, and that's lifted the Parc des Princes. And I can imagine what it feels like for 17-year-old Lewis Miley. 8 more minutes? I bet he feels like he spent half his life out on that pitch tonight. He's probably got through half his life's running, that's for sure.
Absolutely, he's been brilliant, absolutely.
Miguel Almiron, who picked up what looked like a knock in the first half, has got through a lot as well. In fact, the whole of this Newcastle team, which at times have been breached but managed to somehow fortuitously escape. And now having to defend once again as a cross comes into the box. Mbappe's there and Barcola leaning back. Sends it over the crossbar, and again another chance goes a begging.
Well, I thought Mbappe's got to head it in. I don't know why he left it. I don't know if he was just over him. I'm just looking at the replay. I think he could have headed it. Maybe he got a shout and he left it. And maybe it was so close. Another, they flipped dangerously, Newcastle, but they're still here, 1-0.
Well, do you remember the game in Milan? They conceded so many chances in that game, but they got one chance and didn't take it.
Yeah.
Tonight they took that chance.
Absolutely.
They had one actually earlier in the game, which they didn't take. Then they took the next available option, a ruthless finish from Isaac after a mistake by Donnarumma. That could be the difference. They've had 27 attempts on goal, PSG. Only 6 on target. Pope's made 2 good saves in the game and been a real presence at the heart of that Newcastle rearguard action, and what a rearguard action it has been. But there's still more to come. We're in the 92nd minute of the game. It's another corner over on the far side for PSG. Again, Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall stalking the technical area. Brothers in arms, hoping that their team can remain so connected and a unit. As it comes out to the edge of the box, Asensio with a volley, leaning back, and he opened his body up and he fired it well over the top of the crossbar.
He looks like a player to me. He's come on this pitch like, I'm out of the team. I'm not part of this. He's really had a bad attitude to this game, and 2 strikes which really he shouldn't take. Both were so high technical, there was no chance really. He is a bit like that. He is a moody player.
It's a yellow card for Nick Pope for time wasting. So he can't afford to do much more of that. Newcastle United won't worry about a yellow card for Nick Pope going into the final game, because they know if they win, now that Dortmund have won, they have to beat Milan still, just in case PSG beat Dortmund on the final day. If they do that, they are in. But it's all to play for. Newcastle 7, Milan 6, PSG 5. If it stays like this, behind Dortmund, who will lead the group. And they're going through at this rate. Here is Vitinha back to Asensio. So there will be just one place to play for if it stays as it is. Joe Linton trying to get it clear, but Newcastle haven't got it clear for about half an hour.
No, it's just been coming and coming.
Wave after
Isaac
wave.
is playing. He must be playing 32 yards from the goal as the lone striker. He's played there for like 20 minutes, and quite rightly actually, to shore him up.
Here's Asensio again, out towards the right-hand side. Newcastle once again trying to stop them from progressing into the penalty area. They're keeping them almost like arm's length on the edge of the box as much as possible. It's back with Fabian Ruiz, who goes past Isaac, then wanders past Marley, delivers across to the far post. He comes through to Dembele. They just about smuggle it to the edge of the box with a header, and then it bounces for Asensio, who sets the ball up, and it comes back to Vitinha, whose shot is blocked by Bruno Guimaraes, and it goes to halfway. But there's so much of a gap between Isaac, who's about 10 yards outside his box, and the halfway line. Here's Mbappe right side, steers it into the near area of the penalty box, but it's Bruno Guimaraes who's there, and he thrashes it clear. And those Newcastle fans over in the corner of the Tribune Boulogne are starting to get even more tentative, even more nervous. As the ball's cleared and Isak can't hold on to it, and Skriniar then takes it, and then Gordon wins it. It's all scrappy on the edge of the box, and then it comes to Vitinha, who tries to add poise. Hits the hand. Referee waves away the protest, but they want a penalty here. It did look like it struck a hand, and they are stopping the game now, and there could be trouble for Tino Livramento. There's a yellow card, and the referee has actually said no penalty. He's given a yellow card instead. Now we've got the idea of a penalty check coming up on my screen, but Gonzalo Ramos has been booked. I think the check's over here. I think the check is over. The referee stopped the game and then said throw in far side. Now he's saying calm down, and we are having a potential penalty check.
I think he gave a booking for foul language. I think he said something, the PSG player, and he's booked him. I don't think it's anything to do with the incident.
Well,
it was obviously something to do with the incident.
He was still receiving instruction from Tomasz Kwiatkowski. He's going over to have a look at the monitor.
What did I say? I said to you there'll be another penalty shout, and if he gets another penalty shout, it'll be a penalty. I knew it. I could sense it.
6 minutes into injury time. This is a huge moment.
There's no way.
What usually happens.
There's no way he's not giving this.
When a referee comes over to look at the monitor, he's watching the pictures down in front of us of a potential handball inside the box. We haven't seen a replay of it. He's being shown it. It looks like it popped up and hit the arm of Livramento. I think it comes off his body first and then onto his arm that's coming down, doesn't it? His arm is away from his body, but it hits the inside of his body first and then up onto his arm, which is away from his body.
Give it.
And what is he going to do?
Give it.
He said it's hit the bottom of his arm, and the referee has given a penalty to PSG in the 97th minute. I can't quite believe it. The Newcastle fans are stunned, but the general public might not be, because I'm afraid this is how football's going, Alan.
It's just, I'm speechless really from that moment, because they don't deserve that. And it's hit his body and gone up on his hand. Anyone who plays the game, it's not intentional, of course, but we are in Europe, and handballs here are different. Every time it hits a hand, they want a penalty, and they've been asking for them all night. It's the third call for a handball from them, and they've got it. But we still got to score it, and Pope's been brilliant tonight, so there's still a chance.
Kylian Mbappe places the ball on the spot. Newcastle United lead by a goal to nil in the 98th minute, but a penalty to PSG might level it up. It's Mbappe slamming it home past the despairing dive of Nick Pope, and right with the last kick of the game, PSG are level. No one comes to Paris to get their heart broken, but Newcastle have had theirs crushed in the dying moments of the Parc des Princes. The dream isn't over, but their hopes of a victory here might just be. In the 98th minute of the game, it's Paris Saint-Germain 1, Newcastle 1.
Well, you've got to feel, I mean, obviously I have a massive connection to Newcastle, but if you're a neutral, let alone English, they don't deserve that. But this is football in Europe. I've managed in Greece, and every handball is a penalty.
It's devastating for those Newcastle supporters. If you'd given them a point before the game, they would have taken it. But to lose the opportunity to have all three.
Coming, by the way.
And here come PSG over on the right-hand side. Delivers to the far post. Barcola with a header over the bar.
Wow, and he should have done better, actually. He got up early and didn't keep his... I don't think he kept his eye on the ball there. He kept his eye on the ball. He was well high enough to head that back down. The Newcastle bench, you just can see them. They're just trying to calm the team down. Try and get to the end now and take the draw.
Well, it changes the complexion of the group, doesn't it, quite significantly. Milan 1, Dortmund 3 is a full-time result, and Dortmund are through to the knockout stages. Newcastle will be in third position and basically they will have to hope that Dortmund still beat Paris Saint-Germain on the final day, despite the fact that they've qualified, and Newcastle will have to beat Milan to stay in the Champions League. It's dispiriting as the full-time whistle goes, because this was a magnificent performance by Newcastle United, who are absolutely furious. They're surrounding the referee, they're complaining about the decision. It's been a memorable night in Paris, and you know what? If they'd picked up a point in a different circumstance, in a different manner, they would be looking back on this as a fabulous, fabulous night for the football club. But to have 2 points snatched away from them in the dying seconds of the game in the Parc des Princes by a penalty given for handball, which was at best accidental and at worst spurious, will be disheartening. In Europe, those sort of penalties are often given. Whether we like that or not, that is the case. And the Newcastle fans certainly will not like that, nor will Eddie Howe. And those players who look absolutely out on their feet, they ran themselves into the ground, they stole the goal, they kept in the game, but they haven't come away with 3 points. It's just the one. They're third in the group, going into the final game of the group stage after what has been an epic night in Paris. Paris Saint-Germain won, Newcastle United won.
Well, you've got to appreciate the effort that Newcastle have put in. They got themselves a goal, looked for all the world like they were going to win it, defended so well, and then this penalty, I just can't get my head around it. We'll dissect it in a moment, but Alan Pardew, former Newcastle manager, just look at those Newcastle players going over to the Newcastle fans in the corner of the stadium here at the Parc des Princes, and those fans responding to the efforts of their players. They've given everything to get a result. They've got a result here tonight, but we thought they were going to get the win. The fans have seen immense effort from those Newcastle players. There's mutual love there, and rightly so as well.
And some of the players can hardly get there. You know, they're literally out on their feet. You know, for the last 15, 20 minutes there, they didn't have one attack. They didn't have one real sort of venture into the final third of PSG. PSG kept coming. They rode their luck. And you're thinking at 92, 93 minutes they've done the job. That's so cruel what has happened to them. And the manner of it makes it even worse, because it comes off his, I think it comes off his knee, my recollection of it, hits his arm then. But it was the third time that PSG had claimed for a penalty, and you knew as soon as he got the call to go and look at the monitor, for me, I knew he was going to give it. And unfortunately for Newcastle, the fans, the players, the staff, they don't deserve this. It's a draw, but they deserve so much more.
Well, those Newcastle players are still over there in the corner applauding their fans who are getting the same love back. And I'll make you right. Let me just give you Group F at the moment. All is not over for Newcastle United. Dortmund are top, they're through. They're on 10 points. They've won 3-1 away to Milan tonight. Paris are now in second. But if Newcastle had won, they would be in second place. But Paris are in second. They'll play Dortmund in the final game. Dortmund are through. They may field a weakened side. You've got to remember that places are sorted out by head-to-head. So Dortmund have got to bear that in mind. Paris are 3 points behind Dortmund as things stand going into match day 6. Newcastle in third on 5, 2 points behind Paris. Newcastle will be at home to AC Milan in the final game. Milan are bottom of the group on 5 points. So Newcastle still have some work to do, but they're still alive in the Champions League. Let's not forget that. But it feels heartbreaking. It feels like a defeat. And listen, Alan, let's dissect this penalty. You're right, there have been other penalty shouts, but they've all got to be judged on their individual merits. The ball goes into the box, it's played up towards Livramento's body. It hits the side of his body and then hits his arm. Now, as far as I'm aware, the law states that if there's a deflection onto the arm, then surely it's not a penalty. Sam Matterface is going to come in and tell us exactly what that is.
It doesn't. That isn't the law. That's the guidance that is applied in the Premier League. It doesn't occur. In fact, I think there was a point in the international football where that was the guidance too, but that isn't the case in Europe. And I've actually seen a few penalties like this. I've been doing a load of Champions League games, not only for Talksport, for international television as well. And sadly, this happens a lot, where you see a deflection of a part of the body, and then if the arm is away from the natural silhouette, it is still given. In Spain, that is given all day, every single time, and no one complains about it. A bit like last night's penalty, that will be given in Spain as well.
Yeah.
But in the Premier League, we don't tolerate that.
No. And let me make another point. The French press here will think that's a legitimate handball. There's nothing you say to them after the game here today. They'll just assume that was handball. But, you know, for us, it just seems so harsh. We know it's so unrealistic. And Sam is the expert on penalties, by the way, so handball. So, you know, I'm not going to question him one iota. But that, for me, like you, old school, that's not a penalty.
Alan,
unfortunately, we got to suffer it.
I'm with you. And listen, when the laws contradict each other from Premier League to Champions League, it's a total and utter mess. And then you wonder, how can VAR cope with that? And so, therefore, I've always said we need to apply more common sense. How can that be a handball, therefore a penalty, when it's deflected and then a millisecond later it's hit his arm? He knows nothing about it. It's deflected from close range onto his arm. It's a disgraceful decision. Whether it's by the laws of the game, I'm not really bothered about that. I want common sense to be applied in the game of football. I want a referee to say, oh, come on, just have some courage to say that really isn't a penalty.
Let's have a look at the referee first and foremost. He doesn't give it, the referee.
And by the way, he's had a good game.
He's had a good game.
Yeah, he's had a very good game.
He's gone away and he's actually booked someone for protesting about the penalty. But of course, in his ear, he's getting the shout. This could be a penalty. There's a check. There's a check. There's a check. You better go over to the monitor. Now you got this stadium is full up. You got the ultras down that end screaming for blood. You got the team at the referee. I knew as soon as he jumped over the pitch, we all knew what it was going to happen. And that is the pressure that these officials are under with this system. It makes it very, very difficult. Almost impossible.
It does. It feels like a defeat, Alan Pardew, but it isn't, is it?
No, and obviously I haven't got to bring out the plaudits for this team, because that'll be done by the press and the fans. They know this team put everything in that. Did he make a substitution? I don't think he made a substitution, which is so extremely rare in today's game, because the effort and the commitment you have to show for 90 minutes, particularly against opposition of this quality. But I want to mention one player, Miley. I mean, to come into that and hold his own for 98 minutes like that.
Age 17.
Absolutely brilliant. Well done to him. Well done to everybody at Newcastle connected to them, but particularly to him and his family. What a great future he'll have. You're
100% correct, by the way. There were no substitutions. Now, I appreciate that on the bench there's some youngsters on there, but Paul Dummett's not a youngster. Hall, on loan from Chelsea, not a youngster. So there were some options there.
Dummett played for me at Newcastle at left back in great games against Man United and Liverpool, people like that. He's a proper player, Paul Dummett. So, you know, he could have come on there, but Eddie stuck with the team. They was all doing their job. Isak was coming back to the point position to stop their midfielder having too much time on the ball. Tactically, I thought they did it all right. There can be no question mark, other than, unfortunately for them, and let's be honest, they did get a little bit of luck in front of goal. You know, there was 2 or 3 great incidents for PSG which they messed up. But to lose it like that was cruel.
I'm going to give you a statement this is from a UEFA press release in April. Okay, and this is directly related to the penalty that's been given against Newcastle deep into injury time here tonight that's led to this 1-1 draw in the Parc des Princes here. It says, in their guidelines for the next season, the board recommends that UEFA should clarify no handball offence should be called on a player if the ball is previously deflected from his own body, and in particular when the ball does not go towards the goal. Well, that ball wasn't going towards the goal. It was deflected off his own body. So do they even know what they're even recommending? Do they even know what's going on? Do they really understand football?
Well, when I mentioned to you earlier about the guidelines, the directives are when the referees are talking about the laws of the game. This is what if this scenario happens, or what if that scenario happens? These are the guidelines that are applied. Now, the thing is, I mean, listen, I've seen the press release. Somebody else has sent that to me as well. it's a press release. I haven't seen the adoption of that, and I haven't seen that anybody's turned around and said, yeah, we've adopted that recommendation for a start, right? But if they have adopted that recommendation and that's what they want to do, then obviously this comes under that scenario. Whether or not they will say, actually, when it came off his body, it was going towards the goal and his arm prevented it going into a position from where they could score, I don't know. But I've got the law in front of me. The law makes no mention of this. So these are only recommendations. The law doesn't listen, whether we like the law, don't like the law, whether we like the recommendation or not, no one who watches football wants that to be a penalty. No one.
Correct.
Not one person. It is infuriating. It is absolutely... It's depressing that, again, for a second night in a row, what we're talking about is the applications of the laws of the game, which completely take the game away from those who want to love it. And that is the most... That's awful, because this performance was brilliant from Newcastle. A rearguard action.
Do you know, there's a thing in football that we sometimes talk about, and it's called the spirit of the game, right? And back in the day, this was a thing that was always talked about, the spirit of the game. Play the game in the spirit of the game. When you was young, it would be grilled into you. Play in the spirit of the game. Unfortunately, it's not being reffed in the spirit of the game. And that's where I have a problem with that kind of decision. But if we look at this game as a total, and Mape tonight, for me, showed what a world-class player he is. He was the difference in so many moments tonight. He didn't actually score. He had chances. Nick Pope had to make 2 or 3 great saves. In the end, he steps up at 97 minutes and still manages to hit the penalty in just the right spot. He was terrific for them. But PSG didn't impress me tonight. If I'm Pep Guardiola with my Man City team looking at that, I can't see PSG winning the Champions League. I just can't see it. So that's them. But Newcastle, they've got this game now against Milan, and they just got to hope that things fall their way. As I look at it, they have a chance of Europa League, right? They have a good chance of that. Is that correct? If they beat Milan, if they're not Champions League, they're definitely Europa League.
Yep.
Okay, that's the least they deserve from this run. The least they deserve. And one more mention I have to give is to Dortmund, because how they've managed to win this group at the moment, the way they are, I can't believe either. You know, this was a really, really tough group, and they're through, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and it's the 2 results against Newcastle that have done it.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to come back to you on that final match day 6 game. I've got the permutations of what can happen. For me, it is about common sense, and VAR and detailing the laws so stringently means the referee has nowhere to go. He cannot use common sense, and that has always been my gripe with VAR. It takes common sense out of the game.